I would ask my future self if mankind was able to cooperate with one another in order to avert the worst effects of global warming by the year 2050.
So Tony Iommi, the guitarist for Black Sabbath, the press comes down on his two fingers, his middle and ring finger. And in that moment, as he pulls back, he pulls the ends of his fingers off.
Contrary to all the other managers that would come on the air and they would say, let me tell you something. I'm the brain here, and I'm this, and I'm that. And Jimmy Hart was never spoke about himself. He always put the heat, he always put the importance on his proteges.
And that social and cultural climate is what gave birth to a lot of those genres. Look at the graffiti art that was on the trains when they were going by, the 7 train, the 6 train, the 4 train. Okay, these trains are now in museums.
For Secretary of State, I will go with JFK. And the reason I go with Kennedy is that Kennedy understood the international scene.
The reason why one should discuss financial matters and financial disparities, and that should be a focal point in romantic relationships, is that it tells your partner where your values lie.
I would want to talk to Ronald Reagan because he changed that decade more than any other person. I would ask Mr. Reagan, so how do you stay to your true north when the rest of the world is suddenly hating you? How do you stay true to your principles?
This is where people who maybe feel a little behind the power curve in life can build a heroic character, and in the framework with rules, can actually become heroes for a few hours, whether it's you play every day, every week, every month.
Most people have more of an inclination to play sports than they do to be more cerebral or whatever, and so I think a lot of people, I know I did, I thought I was going to be a professional athlete.
And then you had Family Matters, which had many seasons, which had a character that came out and was just so amazing, outstanding. It was only supposed to be in a couple episodes. His name was Urkel, Steve Urkel.
Talking about being one, all of us being one. An article in the New York Times, in the magazine section, it was about how we as humans don't just live on the earth, we are the earth.
So I'm a therapist, and nonverbal communication is a huge aspect of my job. It shows somebody that, you're listening. It shows somebody that you care about them. And a lot of people don't have somebody to listen to them.
So if you have a situation with another country and one country is succumbing to your power, what is in the cards that country might just say, forget it, and I'll just hit the button?
When March Madness comes around, who's the one team that every single person knows on the planet is always going to be in that group represented no matter what happens? Duke. It's always Duke.
to remind people who Stagecoach Mary Fields was that she was born a slave, and when she was 30 years old, that's when slavery was abolished, and she took straight off. I mean, she was out of there as quickly as she could be. Even left family behind, left her parents behind, left everybody behind.
What is good leadership? For me, it is selflessness. It is selflessness, and it's being able to reach in the dark and inspire someone when they are surrounded by fear and anxiety.
The jungles and the Hanoi Hilton, and the things that man went through, firing squad, execution.
The Harley Davidson captures the mystique and the aura that is Americana.
Guys and gals and pals, welcome to something brand new that the new network has provided all of you, because all of you have been the engine that makes this thing go, and we appreciate everything that you've brought to the table thus far. Guys, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we appreciate again how you've been able to show everybody how valuable this network is. Right now, as you can see on screen, 3.9 million views already. We appreciate that. The last live shows that we have had, anywhere between 72,000, 76,000. Again, these numbers tell a story. We started out really essentially from the bottom floor, if you think about it. And now here we are making sure that not only our sponsor gets their just due. Progresso Soup, guys and gals, will they be sponsoring this show? We don't know yet. It's a brand new one here on Wednesdays, but hopefully they don't mind what I just did. I know they won't. If they want me to take them with me to somewhere else, because there's a streaming service that loves what we're doing here. Great news across the board when it comes to Saturday nights. That show, the Celebrity Tournament, has really provided endless edutainment while we have philosophical fun. That's what it's all about, having conversations. It's a place where strangers leave as friends. That is not going to change on Wednesday nights. We are going to respect each other, of course, but when you respect someone, there's nothing wrong with good old-fashioned competition when it comes to what we dub the sport of the mind. And I don't mind reminding all of you guys and gals and pals that you right now are on the ground floor with us on Wednesdays. It's the team challenge. We've never seen something like this before. 10 teams of 2, all strive to thrive with categories and topics that have been conceived by yours truly. And I cannot wait to show all of you how we are so much closer than we are apart. We are not strangers, guys and gals and pals. We're on this planet together. And I promise you we're going to have a lot of fun together, guys and gals. Essentially, just remember that experience is food for the brain. So here we are, sharing our thoughts, exchanging ideas, getting to know one another, and challenging ourselves up here between the ears. That's what matters. Guys and gals, let me zip the old lip. We have a special judge in the back. We got a couple of judges. And of course, we also have our participants tonight. This is a great team challenge. The winner. What a prize. I can't even announce what this prize is going to be. Unlike the Celebrity Tournament, it's not 15 grand or a 5-day trip to Greece. But this team challenge, it's like a regular season. Think of this as matchups that don't necessarily have high stakes in terms of eliminations. The losing team tonight doesn't really lose. They're not eliminated. It would essentially reflect in the standings. The top 8 out of 10 teams will make it to the playoff round eventually when we get there. And of those 8 playoff teams, we will see a 1 seed face an 8 seed, a 2 seed face the 7 seed, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. It'll be best of 3 in round 1, best of 5. But we're months away from that. We're having fun right now. There are different categories that I've conceived that cater to every guest that I have over here, or at least what I think they would be very interested in discussing. I'll explain more of the rules once we have all of our participants on screen. But let me right now say hi to everybody in the comment section. Eric, I see you over there. Kelly, Phil, thank you all for joining us. Let everybody know we're live right now. And guys, because we're live, I'm going to bring in our first participant right about now. You might be asking yourself what time it is. It's time to dream lofty dreams, my friends. Frederick Douglass said, "The soul that is within me, no man can degrade." Our next guest, guys and gals and pals, is a third rounder in this, but he's so much more. A third rounder in the most star-studded tournament on Saturday nights. But he's also a dear friend and a man that places heavy emphasis on all things humane. There's so much to be said about this individual, and I will, as his kind expressions can reduce any man's stress. As a former NBA GM, this man guided many franchises to victories and success. The man was the GM for the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Hawks of Atlanta. He left each franchise better, as his presence was like a gift from dear old Santa. He became the GM of the Atlanta Hawks for 13 years, starting in 1990. From Dominique to Spud Webb to Leitner, and of course the finger waving to Ken B. Rest in peace, Mr. Mutombo, for all you've done. The paper that he helped write for the White House should be consumed by the masses. If it were up to me, building character through sports would be taught in all of the classes. He served on the committee to select the team and coaching staff for Dream Team 3, and yeah, they won gold. His passion and knowledge of history and civil rights speaks to me as I marvel at his mind. Maybe he'll convince me to give the New York Knicks another shot, although I wouldn't watch this team these days, especially yesterday, if I was blind. Forget, guys and gals, where you are now, because this man's presence is an absolute treat. He finds the best in people and is truly allergic to defeat. As my co-host on Nerd 20 thoughts, his viewpoints are well worth a front row seat. He's multifaceted, diverse, and impactful like a mid-2000s Miami Heat. His heart is a champion like an Olympic medal-winning athlete. Is he a favorite to win? He never takes a back seat. Put that in a tweet. So let's welcome a good friend and human being. Last name Babcock. First name Pete. Welcome, my friend, to the team challenge.
How are you tonight, Avi? It's
well.
great to see you.
Always great to see you, my friend.
You're amazing.
It's
You're
always
amazing.
fun. It's always fun having you on because I like our conversations off screen are always very informative. There's never a time where I don't learn from you, which I think is pretty cool. I also think that you find a way to connect with people in a very humble manner. And I've never asked you this question. Humility is a very big part of who you are. Was that something that you probably got from your folks, Pete? Your mom, your dad?
Avi, that's a great question. We had unbelievable parents. They provided an atmosphere, an environment that was very nurturing and supportive. I have two younger brothers who did the same thing I did, basically, career path-wise in the NBA. Our parents, they were disciplined, set great examples, supported us in a positive way, never pushed us to any one thing, but they taught us if we started something, we had to finish it.
Sure.
So if we joined something, if we became disenchanted halfway through it, we had to finish it first. And then we didn't have to do it again, whether it was joining a club or being on a sport, but we had to complete the task, whatever it happened to be. But they, again, never pushed us in any particular direction. And I think just the values that they taught us, I'm hoping those same values we're able to pass on to our kids and our grandkids today. Because they formed, my brothers and I, our lives basically. So yeah, I'm sure whatever humility you think exists in here, I'm sure it comes from my parents.
You post about the unsung heroes and the unsung heroes of our country and the men and women who never really were able to tell their story a lot of times when they were alive, when they were on this planet. We've had that happen with artists as well. Their works don't get celebrated till they've passed on. But I like that you shine a light on a lot of the people that should be spoken about and taught in classrooms. I've told you a million times who I couldn't teach about, the Buffalo Soldiers and, of course, the Freedom Riders. Is it a passion of yours to be able, and I guess I should reframe this question, what's the thought process behind the post of Pete Babcock? Because those posts are very intelligent, they're very insightful, they shine a light on those that, again, should have their story told. What's the process like? Do you have an idea the morning of a post, the night before? Does it just come to you?
Avi, I think I get inspired by my kids and my grandkids and trying to, in some small way, find a way that helps bring people together in such a divided culture that we have politically and elsewise or otherwise. And so I'm always looking for examples of how people are united rather than divided. And I love the fact that the game of basketball became a part of the civil rights movement, and the civil rights movement became part of basketball because they fed off of one another. And the game showed that people of different races can be successful together, can live together, can respect one another, and respect those differences rather than expecting you to be like me. It's just, I learn about you, you learn about me. We break down barriers. The ignorance of discrimination goes away because now there's no ignorance. Now there's knowledge, and you understand the other person and their culture and their background. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to live it, but you understand it and you respect it. And so I think what I look for are those kinds of stories, like how, and then post them hoping that it inspires somebody, even if it's just one person, to say, what I ask my grandkids when I talk to them is, when I ask them about their day, the first question I ask them is, did you do something nice for somebody today? Rather than ask them, how'd you do in school? What'd you study today? I said, what'd you do today nice for somebody else?
That's a great question.
And our youngest ones are only 6 and 10, and it's really fun to listen to them because they know I'm going to ask them, and they'll think, and they'll say, well, I held the door open for so and so, and so that's great. I said, that's terrific. So it's really just it's always been something I've been interested in, and then
the next question you probably ask them is, "Hey guys, can you guess which blazer you wore that blinded me last night?" Probably up there, your question. But no, there's so much that goes into your post, and I wanted to tell you that sometimes when I want to sit back and read your posts, I can't be distracted because there's so much great information in there, and the best way sometimes in a busy day to tell someone that means something to you is to heart it. So guys, again, if you really want to know about the unsung heroes and the history, of course, of our country and those that never got a chance to tell it, Mr. Pete Babcock, thank you for what you do. I guess you're going to be meeting right now. Let me bring her in. I'm looking backstage. Yeah, we're going to bring in your partner right now. I'm going to bring her in solo and then introduce you as a team, my friend.
Very good. Thanks, Avi.
Mr. Pete Babcock, guys and gals. What a gentleman, a friend, and a scholar. Guys and gals, it is now time for me to holler at his teammate. So let me do just that. Love speaks a language that can never be translated to the cynical heart. Some captivate us and hold our attention as we marvel at their excellence from the very start. When artists paint the express in an inner truth that is brave, just, and right. Our next participant does that wholeheartedly. She can make a dark world go bright. She's a Renaissance woman that can do it all, yet remains humble and helpful, and that is a fact. Her presence is always a plus, a grateful addition, as she will never detract. As a co-host, she takes us through her vast array of experiences in this journey we call life. To know more, all you have to do is tune into her own show, Paper Knife. She swims oh so well, and she will never sink in any sand. Guys and gals and pals, she's here to give us her 2 cents. So let's ring the bell and welcome in a wonderful storyteller, artist, and human being, none other than Giselle. Welcome to the team challenge tonight.
Hi! Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. That is probably my favorite one so far, and not just because it's about me. No. Well, it's the favorite one of mine so far. So thank you so much.
Well, as I always say to you and to everybody that does the show, the hardest part is to trim it down because people don't see the process and they don't know. I have to condense. Because there's so much to say about you and about Pete and about Jacques and about Mark Henry and about Cindy and about everybody here, because there's so many things you guys do that should be told. And I'm glad to be able to shine a light on what you've brought to this network. And let me bring in Mr. Pete Babcock right now so you can meet. You've been on screen with Pete before, but now you guys are officially teammates in the team challenge. So there we go.
Hi, Giselle. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to see you again.
You too. I'm very excited about this pairing, and as Avi said, your posts are always amazing. I learn something every time. I love when you're posting about a name I've heard about before, when you're posting about a name I haven't heard about before. They're so well thought out. They're so clear. They're so beautifully written, and everyone needs to go follow Pete Babcock on Facebook. Yeah.
Hello, classy times. Real soul. Hello. Thank you so much, Julio. I would concur. There's no doubt about that. Guys, this is Team Giselle and Team Pete Babcock. Maybe they'll have a name the next time they're up here. Every team can come up with a name in the next few weeks. But again, guys, no real loss. And look, if you guys are voting for someone, it's a positive thing because we tell you when you're voting, all you're telling the person is you resonated with me. There's no better or worse. Somebody resonated with me. Their presentation resonated with me. That's a good thing. That's how you give them respect, by letting them know that once again, what they presented did touch you and move you. And that's what we're trying to do, is to provoke thought. Mr. Pete Babcock and Giselle, I'll put you backstage and bring you right back.
Great.
Thank you so much. Guys and gals, let's bring in the team that Mr. Pete Babcock will be facing, starting with Cindy, and then I'm going to be bringing in Cindy's teammate. I cannot wait, guys and gals. This is going to be a boatload of fun. So, guys and gals and pals, as I bring Miss Cindy Pickett in, let me remind you all that you're watching this on YouTube again. Thank you for a year plus already giving us 78,000 plus subscribers. We appreciate that. Thank you. Keep doing that because, hey, again, this is your show in a way. You guys drive us the way that you do by being here. So thank you for inviting us to your living room. As the bard, Mr. Shakespeare, said, to thy own heart be true. Positivity is the glue that allows us to make it through. And pretty soon, you will all bid my rhymes adieu. Friendships that transcend social distance are something we should all value. A million your amazings will never convey how much I cherish this next friend. My gratitude for her way of being, honesty and warmth, is something I never take for granted because she's as genuine as they come. The language of the eye and the ear and the gift of human connection is what it's all about. When speaking with her, there's a sense of great elation. One can never pout. Her body of work has always been honest and truthful, as her stories always captivate. Her works of art that she's been able to create always translate as we relate to her ability to illustrate, as she helps others elevate. As a fellow screenwriter, her literary works are timeless and can move us so many different ways. She always continues to amaze, as I shall always give her praise for minutes, hours, and days. She was incredible, guys and gals, and my first name was Steven circa 1989. She sank her teeth into her role as Dr. Carol on St. Elsewhere. Her heart and way of being is a gift that is absolutely rare. Love her in Hot to Trot, Sleepwalkers, and Son-in-Law. Her performance in the next film left us all in awe. She played a loving mom to a boy named Ferris. What could be cooler? In case you're a youngster, I'm talking about the one and only Ferris Bueller. So put your hands together for a dear friend and human being. Last name Pickett, first name Cindy. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. Bueller.
Ben Stein. Man, what? Let me ask you about Ben Stein. I never asked you. Ben Stein seems like a lovely man.
You know what? He was hilarious. And I've forgotten the story of how John Hughes met him, but he just said, you have to play this role of the teacher. And I lived in the Palisades before it burned down. Right. And there was a Gelson's there, and I'd always see Ben Stein in Gelson's, and we'd say, hey, Bueller. And funny, I'd see one of the writers at on St. Elsewhere as well. So it was, it was kind of fun. But yeah, Ben Stein
was great to have something like that. I mean, that you could take from set and make it your own, and something that only fellow cast members can understand, that hidden language, which I think is always great. My friend, it's so great to see you. I love our conversations off air, on air. They're always beautiful. They're always authentic. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. It's so funny. I was like, oh God, I'm so tired. But once I get on, it's like, going to the party. It's great. Yes. I'm grateful.
You've been such a huge part of our show. Well, I was going to say, you're such a big part of the show and its success because of what you bring, which I brought up earlier, is authenticity. And there's this genuine quality you have to connect to people because I feel like this is such an intimate setting and people could tell who they're seeing on screen. They could tell if a person is genuine or not. And you always have been from day number one. So thank you for being the human that you are, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You make it easy, and you take people deeper than maybe they would speak to. There's an anonymity, and yet there's a closeness that when everyone is talking from their heart, it's okay to talk from your heart, and that's the best way I know how to talk anyway. So
and you are quite the distinguished, honorable person that you are by being as real as you are. You genuine the truth, and I want you to know this as well. Your works of art, in terms of what you've done in terms of the written word, at least, your literary works of art are incredible.
Thank you.
Your screenplay and your ability to have to do what you need. I think Stanislavski said it best: if you don't do, you can't.
That's
and those that will do. And you have that ability, that fearless ability, whether it's photography, whether it's, again, literary works, whether it's being on stage, whether it's being in front of the camera, whether it's being here. I love that you appreciate the present the way that you do. I really do.
You know, I'm left-handed, and I have to be creative at something. And if something isn't there anymore, I'll find something else. And we creative people find that we can do more than just one thing. We can be creative visually, physically, you know. So
yeah,
I was a shy child.
You told me about that. Yeah,
I know. I used to just walk around like that as a little girl. Like, I have so many pictures like that. So it's a gift to myself to do these with you, to, you know, allow myself to come out of that.
I appreciate that.
Private place.
Guys, Cindy's going to meet her teammate right now, and there's a special connection here in terms of her teammate's name. We'll get to that in a moment. I will put Cindy Pickett backstage for one brief moment. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. And guys, let's bring in her teammate right now, and they could be on screen and meet each other, I believe, for the first time. Guys and gals and pals, when patience meets an accepting heart, we feel fortunate to call such a special human being a friend. The next participant is just that, as she blazes her own trail and doesn't follow a trend. She's warm, kind, genuine, honest, and can do anything she sets her mind to. She has every tool in the world to accomplish her goals, win this tournament, and see it through and through. Many a time she's put a smile on my face, even when old Fine Klein is feeling blue. Her emphasis on all things mental health is truly something I consider a necessary wealth. She is a Green Room original, and she's always made me quite proud. She follows her mind and heart as she sets herself apart from the crowd. By now, you guys and gals, pen pals, know who I'm about to bring in, because there isn't one person in the comment section that's going, huh? So let me welcome a friend, the one and only Miranda. Welcome, my friend.
Hi. Oh my gosh, that was great. Huh?
Nobody typed huh.
I love it.
They knew you were coming in. They knew you were coming in. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. How are you? Actually, I'm great. I'm doing great. This is the place to be.
It's the place to be. I want everyone to know again what you do in the mental health field. You help so many people. You're a very a passionate storyteller. I've known you for a decade already. I want to introduce you to Cindy for the first time, because Cindy, the name Miranda definitely speaks to you.
Yeah, it's my one daughter's name.
Yes. I judged one of your matches one time. So this is actually
you did?
Oh. Yeah, this was a while ago. But I remember you said your daughter's name, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Look at that. Here we are.
I know.
That?
I'm so excited for this pairing. I really respect you as an artist and as a person. This is going to be great.
Thank you. Thank you. Well,
two wonderful human beings. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I can tell she's great.
You guys have great energy. And guys and gals, I'll put Miranda and Cindy backstage again for a moment and bring in our special judge. And then we will be off to the races. This is Cindy Pickett. We thank you for her time, and Miranda as well. Let's bring in our special judge right now. Can you hear me, my friend? Are you able to hear me? Okay, I think so. Guys and gals and pals, I want to bring in our special judge right now. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. And the true secret of happiness lies in taking a genuine interest in all the details of daily life. These sentiments all apply when speaking of our next judge, because to know him is to see his heart. In a world filled with questions, it's quite comforting to know that there are simple answers when it comes to people. For instance, this man's honesty, his integrity, his word, his passion, and his compassion. There are no questions when it comes to all of the above, because he's a quality human being. Guys and gals and pals, he also has a heart of gold. His father was his hero when he experienced something unique when he was just 11 years old. He accompanied his father, who had a broken tibia, to the ring against Tarzan Taylor, but even as a youngster, he sold. Imagine being privy to your father's grudge matches against Abdul the Butcher, a dastardly heel who in the ring would bring the doom and gloom, only to find out that he's chatting it up with your dad in your house in some other room. This is due to the fact that this participant grew up part of pro wrestling royalty. 4 generations of legends that started with his great uncle. How about that for loyalty? At 17 years old, despite his father not being receptive, he asked his mom for $350 and went to Calgary to train for Stampede. The territories awaited. So in 1978, he went somewhere that required speed. But indeed, his father would not have agreed. Louis Laram suggested that he wrestle in Mexico because the altitude and language barrier were challenges, but it helped him get into great shape. And he learned to do his infamous back flip. As athletic as he was just as entertaining on the mic with a quip. On air showmanship, yet he maintained his honesty and would always shoot from the hip. Georgia, Alabama, Memphis, all stops where he would hone his craft as he would continue to excel. Whether it was his brother Armand or Raymond, he could gel with just about anyone and go bell to bell. With athletic stories in the ring, which were quite the stories he would tell, as he would help others propel. In '85, the WWF came calling during their heyday. For nearly a decade, he would become a top talent there, a definite mainstay. He won the IC title from the great Bret Hart, guys and gals. He always knew how to reinvent himself and have a clean start. Legendary feuds with the Big Boss Man included a storyline at an NYC jail. Later on, he and his partner Carl would win the tag titles 3 times, as they always seemed to prevail. Around this time, we remember him in WCW. He would do what only a handful of people did in history. He pinned Hulk Hogan clean in the Molson Center. The reason for this is no mystery. It's because he's a class act, and he's a family man, and he's respected. That is well deserved. Let's not forget something that many who have seen the man behind the persona have personally observed, including me. He has helped many kids, as his fight against bullying and discrimination is one reason why he's an absolute gift. Let's all put our hands together and give him quite the lift. Let's take our time. No need to be swift. His courage is consistent. You can rely on it like a Rick Barry free throw. Helping kids who've been bullied is his canvas, more beautiful than any Van Gogh. He is in the 3rd round of this star-studded tournament, where he'll be sure to bring the gusto. All of you watching always bring his name up, and rightly so. He's a friend that I appreciate, as his class is something we will always see him bestow. He's sincere and genuine and can make you laugh like a mid-90s Ray Romano. They know his name around the world, from Glasgow to Monaco to Kosovo to Moscow. Even in the wintertime, his smile can melt the snow. So why don't you all grab a gyro and a glass of Merlot? That may not be a gut combo, but regardless, I can tell you that you're all feeling quite gun-ho, as his impact is quite the presence, like Arnold kicking butt in Commando. Who am I bringing in? The mystery is going to be history. In a second, you'll know. You all might have figured it out anyway. This isn't a whodunit like Hitchcock's Vertigo, so get up and enjoy this ride like a Texan in a rodeo. Have you put the pieces together and figured it out like a common game of dominoes? All the above. Love to overflow as the Scorpio welcomes back a legend of a human being. First name, Jacques. Last name, Rougeau. Welcome, my friend.
Wow, Abby, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yay! We're having technical problems, and now I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Listen, Abby, this is amazing. You know, I'm on my phone listening on YouTube, and then I'm talking to you on my laptop. It's just like so confusing. But I just want to say one thing. I'm so privileged to be part of this show. It's what you know, Abby. You spend like 2.5, 3 minutes speaking about me, when there should be. Everybody should be speaking about you and everything that you're doing, everything, the people, the knowledge. Even a guy like me, you know, who uses my body more than my brains. I got to tell you, I learned so much on the show every week after week after week. And now to have these guys like, you know, like Pete and Giselle, you know, Pete, what a humble man. And Giselle, you know, she's the woman of my heart, apart from Natalie, of course.
Yes.
And then you got Miranda, who's always nice to me, commenting all the time. And I saw her face for the first time tonight, you know, and now I got a face with a name, and she's amazing. And Cindy, well, you know, I already worked with her.
Here you go, Jacques. Here's Cindy. Jacques, you remember Jacques?
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Oh, handsome. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh man, I wish you good luck tonight, Cindy. I really do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're a great person, and we're having some kind of technical problems here but hopefully I'll be able to watch the show and give you my opinion.
Can you hear Cindy right now, my friend?
Can you hear me? Hello?
No, probably not. Right? That's
He
okay.
froze.
That's okay. Jacques, can you hear me, my friend? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you.
What we'll do, my friend, is this, and again, please don't ever forget the fact that every time you send me an audio message and you tell me what you think about the show or what do you think about this, you're also telling me what you think about people, because this is a show for the people and you care about people. You've done things that we can mention on air. You've done things that we probably won't mention on air, but there's always one goal in mind for you. It's to make people have a good time. You're the only person in the conventions that stands up and welcomes the people that have paid money to see Jacques Rougeau and other wrestlers. And we're not knocking anybody. Everybody might have their own style, or their way of greeting people, their own approach. But your approach is to be in the regalia. You're in the Mountie regalia. You've got the
yeah, but I do that just because I want to sell more pictures.
No, that's not it. They're coming to you anyway. They already bought a ticket. You're there welcoming them. You even ask them, what kind of picture do you want? Something in character, something not in character. It's great.
Yeah, I do like to do that. I like to make the fans happy. You know, they take the time to come and see you, and they spend money to come see you. So I always like to make it memorable. Every person that comes up to me, and it's funny that you say that, because when someone comes up to me, I had a character with a shock stick. And then and it's so funny because when they come up, the first thing I asked them, I said, do you want a straight picture or a funny picture? And obviously they see me take a funny picture with somebody else where I'm grabbing the person by the hair, and then I grab the guy's arm or the girl's arm. I said, "Put your arm up like this. Look at my shock stick. Look like you're afraid." And I said, "Okay, that's perfect."
Directing them.
Yeah. And then I take my stick and I go like this, like, you know, and then after we take the picture, I say, look on your phone. Tell me if it's okay. We'll do another one otherwise.
You know what you're doing? You're giving them a snapshot of their childhood.
Exactly. And I'm putting them in the ring with the Mountie. And you know, for a split second. And for them, it's like that's why they're there. You know, so I enjoy those Comic Cons. I really enjoy Comic Cons.
And they enjoy you as well. And of course, guys, Jacques is in the third round of the big tournament Saturday night. Round 3 is coming up very, very soon. We're about to finish round 2 with some pretty heavy hitters.
I hope it doesn't come too fast, because I know I'm going to be knocked out the next time. There's so many bright and intelligent people on this show.
Well, you're one of them. You're one of them. Don't ever undersell that, my friend. I can't wait for you to be able to judge. The way we'll work it out, guys, is Jacques will be backstage. To all our viewers watching, Jacques will be backstage, and when one team is done presenting and then the other is done presenting, Jacques and I will be on screen, and he will simply give his thoughts to the person that he wants to speak with. It's going to be a lot of fun. My friend, I'm so happy you're here with us tonight.
Thank you, and I'm so happy to be. I'm sorry for last week. We had technical problems. Now at least you're a genius. You figured it out how we could do it, and I'm so happy to be part of it. And although I couldn't do the show last week, I watched the whole show anyway, because I watch your show not for me. I watch the show for everything you bring on the table, Abby. It's amazing.
That means a lot. And you and Natalie, you guys touch the fans a ton. I appreciate you, my friend. I really do, from the heart. Can't wait to break bread with you.
So let's have fun tonight. Let me hear the
fun. Let's rock and roll. Mr. Jacques Rougeau. And guys, I want to start right now. So let me just also let's bring in Mr. Howard Collado and Pete really quickly. They're going to be judging his night as well. Howard, I'm going to get you on screen over here. Pete, let me get you on screen, the peaceful one. Guys, of course, Howard, Jacques is your teammate in this field. We know that you guys are 0 for 1 right now. That's fine. It's only started. It's only just begun. And Pete, you and Jeremy London have yet to debut. This is only night 2 of this team challenge. Pete, are you looking forward to doing what you do with Mr. Jeremy London?
Of course. I can't wait for our matchup, because I think we're going to be a dominant force in this team challenge.
And that's why I wanted to construct this. I had, some of you guys know this already. There is a streaming service that, again, asked me to put up another show on Wednesday nights. And I had to think of a different topic. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Not so much a different topic, a different concept, but I didn't want to reinvent anything. So this is still very familiar to those who watch Saturday nights. But I wanted to make you guys front and center, because you deserve it. Howard, Pete, Giselle, Miranda, everyone here, Kelly, you guys deserve to be front and center with these incredible luminaries that are part of this great umbrella, because they're great people. It's not about their resume. It's about what they've done with their resume to help and inspire people. And now that you guys are teaming up with them, I can't wait for everybody, the streaming service, Progresso Soup, our viewers, to see what you guys could bring. Howard, I know you're chomping at the bit to do this again with Jacques.
Oh, big time. Unfortunately, technical difficulties happen. That is all right. That said, it was great to just kind of jump in as well and kind of just get my feet wet with this whole new format. I mean, Avi, you outdone yourself again with this amazing format. I mean, improv, history, philosophy, we got it all. And but yeah, I am chomping out the bit, and I've been ready to kind of jump in and try and grab that prize, man.
Well, I know you guys got your notepads. I'll put you backstage. Guys, Pete and Howard, they got their game faces, because they're taking this very seriously, as they should. Why not, Mr. Peaceful Pete? Let's bring in everybody. Let's bring in Giselle and Miranda. Let's bring in Pete Babcock. Let's bring in Cindy Pickett. I will announce the categories, and here's how it's going to work in terms of which team goes first. Pick a number from 1 to 10, Giselle.
6.
No, Miranda.
5.
No, Cindy.
7.
7 is the number. Cindy, do you want to go first, or do you want your team to go first or second, my friend?
What do you want, Miranda?
Oh,
it's like each one is good, and each one is a challenge.
Yes. Let's go
second.
Okay. We'll go second.
Let me read the rules so you guys know the rules, because it's very simple. It's not very complex at all. But the way the rules work is as such. Again, there are different categories that I conceived, and you'll pick a category first. Each teammate will have a category that they pick. Each teammate will. Now, if Cindy picks a category, when she's finished presenting, Miranda has the option. It's not mandatory. She has the option to continue Cindy's thoughts. She can tackle that same topic that Cindy just presented. If she chooses to do that, then your team gets a bonus of 3 points / votes. So that is not mandatory. You can. Maybe it's a topic that Cindy's delving into that she's chosen that you're not privy to or not comfortable with, so you can take a back seat and say, I'll pass. But when Cindy's finished, you can continue if you want. Automatically, you get 3 points if you do. Same thing with Cindy. When you're done presenting Miranda, she can do the same. She can decide if she wants to continue with your topic or not. Now, the opposition, in this case, Pete Babcock and Giselle, they will be on screen when Cindy's presenting. They will be on screen. So it's kind of this. Will there be an intimidation factor? I don't know. I mean, I think Giselle's angry faces.
Whatever.
You never know. But
what is acting?
And again, once Cindy's finished, I'll ask Miranda if she wants to continue, her teammate. If she declines, great. If she wants to continue, great. Regardless of what she chooses, I will then ask the opposition if they want to rebut, if they want to continue on. They'll get an automatic 3 points if they want to, but it's not mandatory. Essentially, what is mandatory is one topic per person. So we'll have fun. Here are the categories. Again, Team Miranda and Team Cindy are going to pick the categories first, just in case a few of you might have picked the same category. I've conceived different topics per category, so you can pick as many as you want. Here are the categories, Cindy and Miranda. We have philosophy. We have United States historical figures. We have improv. We have cinema. We have a topic I call Tell Me a Story. And we have fight choreography. Miranda, you first. And I'll repeat them again for our viewers. Yeah, no problem. Philosophy. United States historical figures. Improv. Cinema. A topic I call Tell Me a Story. And fight choreography. Which would you like to select, Miranda?
Well, I was saying how I was hoping that's when this first started last week, I was saying, wow, philosophy sounds like a really interesting topic. So I think I'm just going to shoot for it, and I'm going to go with philosophy.
Philosophy, and I'll read you the topic in a moment. Cindy, my friend, would you like me to read the categories again?
No. What was the last one?
We have fight choreography, Tell Me a Story.
Tell me a story. So what is that one exactly?
You'll see. It's great though.
It's intriguing. I'll do Tell Me a Story.
I love it. I love it.
If I don't like it, can I change?
Yes, you can totally change. Absolutely. Okay. You know what? I think it's fair. I kind of reveal what Tell Me a Story is, because Giselle might want to select it. Pete as well. So Tell Me a Story. Here's the way I came up with this. It was actually earlier today where I try to come up with another category. The way it's going to work is I'm going to share the screen, and there'll be a portrait or a picture or a photo. And you will give that photo a story verbally. You will narrate a story just based on that one singular photo that you see on screen.
Ooh. How long can we speak? How long do we?
You can call it whenever you want.
Okay.
You can call scene whenever you want.
Okay, I'll do that.
You'll do that? Tell me a
I
story.
would take philosophy normally, but
sure.
We'll see.
I like it. Tell me a story. I'm going to ask Giselle and Pete for their to pick their categories as well, because they're going up second, of course. Mr. Babcock, do you want me to read them again, my friend?
No, it's okay. Historical figures.
Absolutely. Historical figures. Giselle.
I'll stick with my wheelhouse and do fight choreography.
Fight choreography. Giselle, great fight choreographer and teacher as well.
Wow.
Very great. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. For about 2 decades plus. So, again, remind me, Miranda or Cindy, who's going first?
You mean out of me and Cindy, or in general?
Yes.
Oh, I can go first.
You're going to go first. Okay.
Mhm.
So here's what's going to go down. Miranda's going to be on screen. Cindy will go backstage. Giselle and Pete will be, I guess, on screen with Miranda is the best way to describe it. She'll be between both Pete Babcock and Giselle. I'm going to give you your topic first, and then I'll give everyone a chance to go backstage for a few minutes just to organize your thoughts, to gather your thoughts, which is fine. Now, Miranda, once you're on screen and once you're surrounded by Giselle and Pete, once you're finished, essentially, give me the cue. There is no time limit. Give me the cue. When you're finished, Cindy will be asked if she wants to continue as well for some bonus points. If she doesn't, I'll ask Giselle and Pete if they want to add something to your topic as well. That's not mandatory either. So here we go. Miranda, here is your topic. Let me read it right now. You, if I'm not mistaken, did you pick philosophy?
Philosophy, yeah.
Okay. So here is the topic. A lot of people believe that the current generation has a moral obligation to act in a way that represents the well-being of future generations. A lot of times we frame this to protect the environment. We do this to preserve natural resources, sometimes to ensure a just and equitable world for those that will inherit the planet one day. That being said, should we impose burdens on future generations to solve current problems? That is my question for you. Should we impose burdens, Miranda, on future generations to solve current problems? That is my question for you. I'll put it up on screen as well. Now I'm going to give Cindy her topic. Well, actually, I can't until she's on screen. She'll see the image, of course. Great bold choice that you made. I love that choice. And of course, right now, Mr. Pete Babcock, I'm going to give you the topic. I want those who aren't as familiar with this topic, Pete, to really get as much context as they can. So I'm going to read something here before I actually form it in phrase it in a question, in the form of a question. I want to talk about Ronald Reagan for a second. I want to talk about October 25th, 1983. The U.S. wanted an opportunity to reinvigorate its image. They wanted to do so by showing the world that they're a communist stopping powerhouse. But did it take advantage of Grenada to do so? I want to go back to 79. There was a small Caribbean nation of Grenada, and it underwent the communist revolution that peacefully installed a socialist government in the form of the British colony. 4 years later, the U.S. intervened militarily to depose a new communist leader and impose a capitalist government. Now, the intervention was controversial. It had competing explanations as to why the U.S. invaded the island. But although the administration of U.S. President Ronald Reagan argued that the intervention was to protect American students at the island's medical schools, critics argued that it was a Cold War power play that was intended to deprive Cuba and the Soviet Union of an additional base of operations in the Western Hemisphere. Was this decision of Reagan's beneficial to the U.S., or was this a self-serving power play on his behalf that was meant to restore the almighty reputation of the United States president, something that was lacking from 63 to 80? So, my friend, you can take either stance that you want. Was this a decision of Reagan's beneficial to the U.S. of America, United States of America, or was this a self-serving power play on his behalf that was meant to restore the almighty reputation of the U.S., something that was lacking from 63 to 80? I wasn't allowed to talk about this in class when I taught history, but it's a very important topic. Mr. Pete Babcock, of course, will give us his take. And of course, Giselle, you chose fight choreography.
Yes.
So here's the topic I have for you. It's not a new art form, right? Since before Romeo slew Tybalt, fight scenes have provided pivotal moments in a drama defined by characters, and it gives us a cathartic release. When words aren't enough, storytellers use their bodies to express anger and frustration in an explosion of movement in a field that's becoming at once more technical and creative. Today's fight choreographers use sources as diverse as kabuki, swordplay, Chinese opera to create their effects. But storytelling is only 30% verbal. That being said, do highly choreographed fight scenes in the film medium, Giselle, in the film medium, do they add or detract from the storytelling? I know it depends. I can bring up a ton of examples that predate the 18th century, but I'll keep it contemporary. Michael Bay's Transformer movies. The action is highly choreographed and filmed with a dizzyingly rapid series of cuts and angles that make it almost incomprehensible. Michael Bay's become one of the worst at this, but he's only one of a majority of action directors who seem to have embraced this view that more plus faster equal better. They're devoid of meaning or emotion, and it can be too hard to follow. But to the other extreme, Giselle, take the corridor fight in Marvel's Daredevil TV series. That was highly choreographed, but it also strives for a level of realism. It's brutal, bloody, chaotic, and the blows land as if they count. It felt real enough that you winced at the blows as they landed. We were invested in the fight. So the question, is it action for action's sake, or does it involve us because it reveals character? My question is, do highly choreographed fight scenes, generally in the film medium, take you away from the overall story, strictly speaking as a film goer, or do highly choreographed fight scenes enhance the story, in your opinion? All right, guys, those are the topics. I'm going to put Giselle, Mr. Pete Babcock, Miranda, and Cindy backstage for a couple of minutes because, guys, are very, very deep topics. I'll bring in Howard and Pete to discuss this as well. Miranda, let me put you backstage, my friend. Giselle as well. Mr. Babcock, Mrs. Pickett. Let me bring in Jacques for a moment. I want to bring in Jacques and see if Jacques can have a conversation with me for a few moments here. Mr. Rougeau, how are you, my friend?
As well, Mr. Babcock.
I will bring him in momentarily. Howard?
Wow.
And Mr. Peaceful Pete, how are you guys?
Great. These are some excellent questions there. I can't wait to find out how they're gonna tackle these questions. Ronald Reagan, 87, Grenada,
83.
I'm not too well informed about that, so I'm really interested to see what Pete has to say. Mr. Babcock.
You remember the country didn't trust its U.S. presidents at that time, and even Reagan's approval rating in early '81 wasn't that good until the old assassination attempt, Hinckley. People didn't favor Reagan back then, and they certainly didn't know about Reagan trickle-down Reaganomics. But at that time, they didn't trust U.S. presidents. The one that you could say that initially they did might have been Carter, but that didn't go well, of course. Foreign policy-wise, Iran didn't want to deal with Jimmy Carter. They didn't even want to talk to Jimmy Carter during the hostage crisis. So, again, we'll see how Pete approaches this. Giselle, of course, a wealth of information when it comes to fight choreography, as is Pete with U.S. history, as is Cindy as an artist. I can't wait to see her paint on this canvas the way that she does. And, of course, with Miranda and the topic of philosophy, a lot of deep conversations we've had. So it's interesting to see where they go. Right, Howard?
It's amazing. You have a little what I would call a Big Mac of amazing themes and topics here. I mean,
thank you, Will. Thank you, Ed. Nice to see you guys here.
Just amazing from politics with Grenada to how they choreographed fight choreography to, and then the improv that Cindy's going to do with the image. I mean, that's going to be just
it's going to be fascinating because, again, there are no wrong answers. I wanted this to be spur of the moment. Saturday's show, there's preparation. This had to be different. And it teaches us to trust ourselves. We have to trust ourselves and present. It's going to be fun to be able to, I think, go back and look at some of these earlier episodes and realize how brave these men and women are for doing this. I want to bring in Jacques for a quick second. But before I do, in about 30 seconds, I'll bring in Mr. Jacques and ask him what he thinks. Again, I believe Miranda is going first, right? Miranda, thumbs up if you're going first. I think you are with philosophy. Yes, you are. And Miranda, again, will be surrounded by Pete Babcock and Giselle. Everyone's got their game faces on. Guys, what would you like to see? Criteria, any quick criteria of what you'd like to see without being specific? Criteria. What are you looking for?
Well, for me, is there, are their thoughts clear? Is the presentation clear? Is there an order to it? And also, how deep do each competitor, how deep they go, each competitor with the topics that they're given. So that's a good portion of what I'm looking at. Pete?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. How their wealth of knowledge when it comes to the topic. Also, the emotions, especially if you're choosing a topic like tell me a story or improv, the emotions involved and how deep they get in. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Likewise. Julio says the key, I think, will be how they can pay attention to their partner and be able to notice an opportunity and help when needed to continue their partner's topic to help finish strong. Great comment there.
That's excellent comment.
Eric has a comment about Ronald Reagan. I see that. Guys, let's put Howard backstage and Mr. Pete backstage and bring Jacques in and get his thoughts. And then we will bring in Miranda. Jacques, how are you, my friend? Should be very fun tonight with these topics. I can't wait to see what they do.
I'm very excited. I just some are more intellectual than my brain, but some are very interesting. Some are very, very interesting. I have to be honest with you. I think it's funny because it's 4 different subjects, 4 different approaches. I'm really looking forward to see how well she's going to do, or if she's going to hang herself. I'm talking about Cindy, because she's taking a picture and she's going to make a story out of a picture, which that would be my strong suit, because you can't talk to me about politics or nothing like that in the U.S. I don't know nothing. So
I had a topic last week, a category when you were scheduled beyond with Howard called Canada's Finest.
Well, that would have been good. That would have been good.
That's going to be on the next time you're competing, because you're guys who are watching Jacques. He's in this team challenge, guys. You're going to see him with Howard. We're going to make it work. It's going to be great. Canada's greatest.
But Avi, what I like about this show is you have all these topics. Now we know what the topics are, and then their brain is going 100 miles an hour right now, trying to put
something
together.
They're so intelligent, just like you. Again, I've seen you do this so many times and paint a picture for us through your story.
I can't wait to see who's going to come across the best. And that's for me, that's the exciting part of the show, is because one could have the best topic, but could give a lousy answer. And one could have a lousy topic and seduce me with a great explanation.
Ooh,
So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see all four of these.
Here's what I like. I like that there's different approaches that speak to you. It's not one approach that speaks to you. It could be anything. It could be any approach.
And without further ado, let's get ready to rumble.
You heard Judge Jacques, guys. Let's ready to rumble right now. Jacques going to go backstage. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Let's bring in Miranda. Let's bring in the opposition, Giselle, and let's bring in Mr. Pete Babcock as well, of course. When Miranda's finished with this topic, again, I'm going to ask Cindy if she wants to continue and get some bonus points for her team. She doesn't have to. It's up to her. Let me read this topic again for you, Miranda. All right, here is the topic for you again.
Yes.
This is from Miranda, and it is philosophy. Guys and gals and pals. Our generation right now, a lot of people believe that current generations, including this one, have a moral obligation to act in a way that respects the well-being of future generations. It's framed as a duty to protect the environment, preserve natural resources, to ensure a just and equitable world for those who will inherit the planet one day. That being said, the question here, Miranda, should we impose burdens on future generations to solve current problems? Should we do that? The floor is yours whenever you're ready to go, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and I do not think that we should impose burdens for the future generation to cure our current problems, because, as Avi said, I believe there is a moral obligation for the current generation to preserve the environment, to make sure there's justice for all. And that's been going on since the beginning of history, right? We had the civil rights movement, we had the women's rights, we had LGBTQ rights, the environment. We've been trying to make the environment cleaner. And we haven't done as great of a job at that as we could have. Global warming is a big problem. And I feel like if the current generation does not preserve these things for future generations, it will create a big burden for future generations. And it's not fair. We've made a lot of progress in certain things, such as the rights for others. As the years have gone on and centuries have gone on, there's still more work that needs to be done. But we need to focus on that right now, so that the future generations can have a better world to live in, and so that things don't, take a back seat and actually go in the opposite direction to where people lose their rights, which a lot of people are afraid of right now, especially in our country, of losing certain rights with certain leadership and things like that. So I feel like we have to preserve that, and we have to keep moving forward so that way we can have a better life in the future. Otherwise, there will be a big mess to clean up, and especially with the environment as well. If we don't protect that now, we already know global warming is going downhill quick. So if we don't get that under control now, we may not have a sustainable environment in future generations to come, and that will be beyond even having a burden in future generations. There might not even be a future generation. We might have to have totally different lifestyle than how we do now with the environment. And we might even be living in a bubble. Who knows? It might even be past the point of even being able to change it at that point, past the point of even making it better at that point. So I don't think that we should impose that on the future generations. If we have a chance to do it right now, then we should be able to make those changes right now and to fight for the rights of others as we do right now. It is not fair to bring kids into the world when we don't already have our own moral compass in place. We don't already have our own, environment in place. I know a lot of people feel that way these days with having children, that it's a scary time to have kids, and it's a scary time to bring children into the world. So I wouldn't want to put any more stress on the future generation to right the wrongs of what we can start already doing now. And I just think that that's the most important thing, is just to focus on what we can do to move forward and to be a united people, to have less division, as Pete was saying earlier, to find things that we can have in common so that we can build stronger and we can build together, as well as with our environment and even the farmlands, and the the issues that we're having in the farmlands and things like that. We have to preserve that so that we can have food in the future. We can have clean water. We can have all the things that we need to survive and to thrive. I think I summed it up pretty well.
Thank you, Miranda. No, I appreciate the presentation. I will bring in Cindy Pickett right now, our good friend Cindy, and see if Cindy, would you want to follow that by any chance?
I would like to say that my son, who lives in Santa Fe, he's a therapist, and he's a therapist. So we were talking about he wants to create a foundation in the country where people can come, like in a kind of open sky thing,
sure,
where people come to learn through nature. And at one point, he also said to me that I said, I want to be a grandmother. I didn't have these kids till my early 40s. And I said, are you thinking of having, giving me grandchildren anytime soon? And they're in their 30s. And, and I waited late, so I have no right to ask that. But, and he said, this was a few years ago. He said, Mom, I don't know if it's good to bring kids into the world for what we see is going to evolve. And, but he was over this weekend, and I asked him the same thing. He said, I think we're thinking about a couple of years. And I said, well, what changed? He said, I think we have to keep trying to change what's happening. And only, the one being that might be born that could change everything. We don't know if that is, so I kind of believe that that's my opinion.
I appreciate that. And again, guys, Cindy Pickett, Team Miranda, this was Miranda's topic. Cindy, of course, added more to that as well with her thoughts. They have 3 bonus points now because of that. It is optional. A teammate does not have to continue on when it comes to essentially presenting a topic their teammate just did. So thank you again for jumping in, Cindy. I'll ask Giselle. Cindy, please.
No, I just, I think you can always continue a conversation. And I think it makes it more of a community thing here than a contest. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to add that because it was, for the most part, the topic. And thank you.
And it's generous of you to do that. It's generous of you to add that because, again, I don't want anyone to feel confined to just their topic because of what Cindy said. The backdrop, the competition, that's great. But as you guys know, this is a living room style conversation where we have philosophical fun and hopefully provide you endless edutainment. That's when entertainment meets education. They get married and they have some great babies named edutainment. Will Wilson says, perseverance is not the right word. Restore is the current word. Your beliefs are correct. Education is the key. What was is gone, but things can come back. That is Will. Julio, I think we got to do what we can now and try to make the problems that we can't solve now easier for those in the future to try and solve. So things are fixed sooner rather than later. Eric says, at what point does the refuge of the past generation stop? It's going to run into future generations. Vietnam, perfect example. We appreciate your thoughts, guys. And now I'm going to ask Mr. Pete Babcock and Giselle to see if they want to add to that as well. If they do, it'll be 3 points, of course, to their team. Not mandatory. Giselle and Pete.
Pete, do you have anything?
Go ahead, Giselle. Let me defer to you. Get the 3 points for us, okay?
No, I do have a question. It might be a little bit of a devil's advocate situation here, just a smidge. How would you approach someone, or what would you say to a group
Giselle, I'm sorry, this is directed to Miranda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Or to the team in general, as Cindy came in as well. What would you say to a group of people, or how would you approach a prior generation who may not be aware of the issues and problems that they've caused for future generations? Are there generations that are doing this intentionally, or are there generations that don't realize what's happening? And then does that automatically place the burden on future generations to fix those problems if a generation didn't know that was happening in the first place?
Yeah, that is a good question, because there might not be awareness. It's funny. I'm a therapist in my day job as well, and I feel like there is a lot of generational trauma that goes throughout each generation. So what's taught, that's what people know, right? So some people might not be doing things intentionally. I have family members who are very strict and I would say old school mentality when it comes to, I guess, present day things such as present day issues like the LGBTQ community and things like that. And they say certain things. They're not saying it to be rude or to be spiteful or whatever the case is. They just don't understand what the issues are, and they need to be taught these things. So education, as I forgot who it was in the comment section, education is really important to learn how to fix things in the future. And I feel like it's our obligation to educate ourselves on these things, because we might not have been taught these things from the previous generation because of all the mentalities that I feel like every generation has gotten a little bit better in a way, but there's a lot of things that were taught from previous generations and traumas and things like that we might just not know about. But now I feel like we have a lot of education at our hands that we can utilize if we want to.
Do you think these future generations would be resentful even if the consequences are unintentional?
I feel like that's another thing with education too, is being mindful of that sometimes it's not intentional, because I could easily, if I want to use my own personal example with the family members I was talking about, I know people who have stopped speaking to certain family members because of certain comments that they made, but I think you have to decipher what was taught to them by their parents and how that might have affected them and how their households were, and what they're saying too, really decipher. Are they saying this to be intentionally rude to me, or are they just not understanding? And then maybe you could try to educate them. And then if someone is resistant to the education, then that's up to them. Then it's like, okay, then now it's kind of on you to educate yourself, or at least to listen when someone's trying to tell you something, and be open-minded as well. But at first glance, maybe they just don't know, and they need to be, they need to be taught and have a conversation about it.
Giselle.
Bobby, can I add something?
Yes, Mr. Babcock, absolutely.
Do we get another 3 points for this?
Yes, 3 points per person.
I'm just kidding. I want to just pick up.
I wanted the same thing.
Yeah.
Pick up on something that Cindy had commented on that I thought was important when she was talking about whether her son was going to provide her with grandchildren, and his response, is it fair to bring kids into today's world? And I think Cindy's answer was really good, because in my family, we're living that firsthand. I have a granddaughter who I think is going to make a difference in the world. She's a college student now. She's studying international politics, and she studied in Copenhagen last summer. She's in Geneva, actually right now, studying the UN Security Council, and trying to find a way, trying to learn as much as she can about the world and how this operates, and how can we improve world politics and world relationships. So I think that's what you said, Cindy, is a valid point. Is like somebody's going to come along that's going to be a dramatic leader who's going to have great ideas and to solve these problems. And so anyway, I just want to throw that in there. I think reinforcing what Cindy's thought was.
Absolutely. No.
I have an addendum, but you don't have to give me 3 points, but it's just off of what you were saying. I
Give
did
us 3 points.
well, I mean, we'll be here all night. I did a mini series called America with a K.
Yes.
And it was about the Russian takeover of America. It was real controversial. John Chancellor came on and said, how can we had just become friends with Russia? Like everything had just, we had just, and there was this one scene in Congress where the Russians come in and gun down the entire Congress.
Yeah.
And someone comes out of the ashes, and it happened to be Chris Christopherson, but he had been a boy in Nebraska, and he just took on the revolution. That's what I think of when I think of we have to keep bringing people into this world, because there will be people that do rise up.
And metaphorically speaking, for those that think, well, wait a minute, how could one person do that? Some people probably wonder, how did Rocky Balboa end the Cold War in Rocky IV? But metaphorically speaking, it means that one person can make a difference if they make a choice. They have to choose to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And they have to choose the right choice.
Yes.
It has to be,
or what's right to them.
Well, yeah, but it might not be right. What's right for the planet.
Sure. That's a great point, Cindy. And I also know that you and Chris were friends. He passed away not too long ago, Chris.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Time is relative now anyway. Since COVID, it's like I think he may have died during COVID, but not of COVID, but
no. And it definitely stops here, guys. Time stops here because we, again, are having a great time with Pete Babcock, Cindy Pickett, Giselle, Miranda, and of course, Jacques Rougeau, Howard Collado, and Mr. Peaceful Pete. Guys, Giselle, again, you asked, I guess you had a question, not much of a statement. Pete, of course, thank you for joining in as well. So that was Miranda's topic. Right now, we are going to go to Cindy Pickett. I'm going to put her on screen and put Miranda backstage. All right. And I will keep Pete and Giselle on. So I call this topic that I conceived earlier, Tell Me a Story. What I'm going to pull up is an image. Might be an image that Cindy recognizes. You never know. And she's going to tell me a story based on this image. She's going to tell us a story. She'll be narrating. There's different ways to narrate. I won't be that detailed about it because Cindy can paint with her paintbrush any way she'd like. And verbally speaking, guys and gals and pals, I will call scene to begin. She will call scene whenever she's finished. Any way you'd like, my friend. Maybe you could give us a title afterwards, the title of this story. But in the beginning, you can start narrating as soon as you see this image. The floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, my. Well, this is a very special image. Once upon a time, I met Mr. Bueller. And we decided to get married after we worked together and have 2 children. He was late 40s, I was early 40s. And their names were Miranda and Shane. And they were very, very special because when I was 21, I had to give up a child. And he became a big part of my life later on, but these 2 children were very special to me. In any case, at one point, Mr. Bueller and I decided to separate, and at that time, my son, named Shane, it was Halloween, and he said, "Mom, I want to be Ferris Bueller for Halloween." And so we had to figure out a costume, find that vest, and he slicked his hair back. And Miranda is a person who is very beautiful inside and out. When she was this is Shane chasing after Miranda on a berm in Venice. I think it was after the earthquake. And he was trying to catch her because the next day they would have to separate because I would take Miranda with me to location. And it was a very difficult time because at the time, I was asked to do a movie in Scotland. And it was I can't remember the director, but he was a wonderful director. And it was a period piece. I had never been to Scotland. I had never done a period piece other than Shakespeare. And I wanted to do this very badly. But if it had gone, it was a pilot, it would have worked in Vancouver. And right after the divorce, one of the rules was I couldn't go out of state to make a movie or to work in any way. I could work, but I couldn't take the children. And that's when they were young. And I had to give this job up and took a big hit on my career. And I found in my life, my children to be more important than my career. And I guess that's my story. This picture, by the way, was very special because I was asked to do a gallery showing of my photography, and we were out and the sky was remarkable, which it always is in on the west side by the ocean. And this was my prize photo.
Wow.
And well, I would like to hear what each of you have to say, what you think is happening here. Put a story around this image.
That's a great question.
Is that possible?
Oh, not only is it possible, thank you, because essentially that was my next question to Giselle and to Pete. But first to Miranda as I bring her in here. Miranda, same thing I'll ask you that I asked Cindy.
And then I'll end it by telling you what it was happening.
I would love to hear that. Miranda, would you like to continue with your interpretation?
Well, yes. I was about to say, how am I going to follow this? Because it's such a powerful story. I didn't want to ruin it. But I can definitely say.
Can I give you some advice?
Yes.
I would take that picture in for about 10 seconds, and then I would close your eyes and tell what you see. Tell us a story without even looking at it.
Okay. It's a very powerful picture. Okay, so my interpretation of this picture would be Miranda, the daughter. She's getting ready to go with Cindy, but since Shane is staying with his father, it looks like he has some type of book bag on to me. That's my interpretation. And she's trying to leave hurriedly because she, doesn't want to say goodbye. She's very upset. And Shane's trying to pull her back to stay with him because they're very close, and it's going to be very difficult for them to be separated. So he's trying to keep his sister close to him, and she doesn't want to say goodbye, and it's too painful for her to deal with the situation.
Thank you, Miranda.
Very
brave of you. Very brave. Thank you.
That was
Thank
great.
you so much. Absolutely. I will ask Giselle and Mr. Pete Babcock if they would like to tell a story.
My first reaction to the picture, before I even heard Cindy speak, when I saw the picture, my first reaction was, not knowing who the figures represented, was that the person on the right was leaving, and the person on the left was desperately trying to help keep that person in place or keep that person with them. That was the first reaction I had, and not knowing anything about the story. That's how I looked at the picture.
That's a story. I mean, you told us
great.
that. Yeah, no, and you illustrated that for us, Pete. So that is kind of how you interpret it. Thank you. I'm looking at it differently based on how you guys are illustrating it. So thank you, Giselle. Your thoughts?
Sure. The color scheme is reminding me of dusk. It's an in-between time. And it's a story of learning to let go while also learning to hold on to what is dear to you and what those memories are. It's a good story of growth and development, seeing that we can be in different places, but when we are in the same place, we have that shared special time together, and it's always going to be here, and it's always going to be here. And anytime we look at this picture, we have that feeling. It's more than a memory. It's that feeling, and you can close your eyes and you remember what the air smelled like, and you remember the sounds of the water, and you remember the sounds of the footsteps, what time of day it was, what direction you were facing, and why you knew you were going to let that person go. You knew it couldn't be stopped for whatever reason. But you also knew you weren't going to let them go without telling how much they mean to you. There's the longing in the outstretched arms. It's reaching, it's grasping, it's that holding on to that memory. It's that last look before you see them again in some time. But it's also knowing they're going to be okay. Because the person in front is going headlong into the next adventure. Mm-hmm. They know what they want. But they're also never going to forget. They're not resisting the pull. They're not resisting the touch. They welcome it. And I get this sense of love emanating from all of the feelings, so that neither or either person knows that they are not alone, and they'll always have each other, even if they do need to be separated for a time.
You guys have an uncanny way to showcase your strong spiritual work ethic. It is. There's such a thing as a spiritual work ethic, and you guys all painted right now your own picture, and I think that's beautiful. I'm not going to add what I think because I wouldn't want to.
Oh, I was going to ask you what your story was.
If somebody wants a moment of levity, I'll give them one. Here's what I see, but it's really, I see more than this, but
yeah,
it's moment of levity time. You guys ever see the Flintstones? You ever see the opening credits to the Flintstones? You remember when there was like this big old prime rib that Dino put on his car? It feels like they just grabbed that prime rib and are trying to snack on it. And they kind of like are running away from Dino because he wants first dibs on that rib.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
And it looks like they're kind of halfway from devouring it already. There's not much left of it, but it was a good rib. It was a nice rib. It was a kind rib. Yeah, guys, again, I can't even begin to say how amazing Giselle and Pete and Cindy and Miranda were with their story. And your stories as well in the comment section. I see Will said, my first thought was similar to Pete's. I see someone holding someone back saying, wait, don't rush this. Julio, the person in front is being guided on their path through life by a lost loved one that said they will always be with them no matter what. Guys, it's very important to stretch this muscle, and you guys are doing it in the comment section. So thank you for being brave as well. I love this. Thank you. This is telling me a story. There'll always be a different image for somebody who selects this particular topic. Cindy did.
You know what they were really doing?
What's that?
You want to know what they were really doing?
Yes.
He was chasing her on the berm, and she wanted to go back in the water, and I was that thing.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Pulling her sweatshirt back. She wanted to get in, her hair was wet. Anyway, I thought I'd tell you that.
No, it's
very.
I wanted to pick something that really spoke to you, Cindy, and I was hoping.
Yeah, I just posted that today.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yep. Eric, in the Flintstones, the car did tip over in the Flintstones. Eric, here's a little fact for you, Eric. You remember this probably. The Flintstones was on primetime television in the 60s. People forget that. It was on prime time. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is bring in Howard, then Pete, then Jacques. So Howard, Pete, and Jacques. And here's what they're going to do. They're wondering how we're going to vote. Well, we saw every take possible. We saw the presenter, we saw their teammate, and then we saw the other team present as well. Who spoke to you first on topic number one? Philosophy, Howard Collado. Was it team Giselle and Pete Babcock, or was it the original presenter Miranda and her teammate Cindy Pickett? Give us the whys before you tell us who you vote for.
Sure. So, Miranda said that you should not place those burdens on future generations. The dire nature of the problems we have now in the present cannot be ignored. There's going to be, we might reach that point of no return. So it really kind of gives us, a motivation to know we need to really, look at these problems now and not wait. Cindy, you give us really beautiful personal kind of a picture of you talking to your son, and that kind of epiphany of like, well, when he changed his mind as to why he might now consider and giving birth to that to someone who might be the person that solves the problem. I think there's something beautifully humanistic about that, and that for me, that was kind of like the cherry on top of this whole beautiful argument that both Miranda and Cindy made. So that kind of humanistic, it's this human chain of events that you kind of painted. I think for me, it really spoke. And so my vote goes to Miranda and Cindy.
Miranda and Cindy, thank you so much, Howard. Appreciate you. I'm going to bring in Peaceful Pete, then Jacques. Right after Pete, I'll bring in Jacques. And again, they're voting on philosophy, which was Miranda's topic. And since all four were kind enough to give us their take, who resonated most with you and why? That is the question. Thank you, Howard. And of course, guys, winners, losers, we're all learning from each other. But this is a great way to illustrate your thoughts and opinions. Mr. Pete, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. Look, we got Pete and Pete on screen.
Pete's.
Pete squared.
Pete squared.
I like that. That can be a show one day.
I think they already tried that.
Oh, did they really?
You don't remember Pete and Pete on? I think it was on Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah, that was. I was too old for that.
I do want to say this though, Giselle. I forgot. Silly me. To our viewers, the engine. First off, amazing detail in your comments. Don't feel pressured to be as detail oriented as you've been and very concise and thorough. But thank you for that. Nonetheless, feel free to do that and also vote now. You can vote. Phil, I'm going to go with Miranda and Cindy on this one. Thank you so much. Please vote in the comment section as Mr. Peaceful Pete will do now.
Yeah, so philosophy. So, I don't kind of like to go on what Howard said. I don't like to agree with anything Howard ever says, but he brought up some excellent points. Miranda, you had me saying, like we shouldn't be passing the buck to future generations we should be able to take care of our own issues, when it comes to environmentalism, race issues, civil rights, everything. But then you kind of lost me when you said that, this is why people consider not having kids. And to me, if we don't have kids, we're not solving any issues. We're creating issues by killing off the human race. So Sydney came and saved you and said,
I don't agree with that. I'm saying that some people feel like they shouldn't even have kids or bother because they don't want to focus. They don't want to deal with the issues at hand right now, and they don't want to pass it on to their kids. But we have to deal with the issues at hand and not be afraid to have future generations to come. That was the point.
Okay, I missed that part. I thought I thought you brought that up as like your point. Say there's no reason to have kids, and then you had Cindy came in saying about her son, and then Pete came in with his rebuttal, with I believe was your niece,
granddaughter,
and it's like so. He kind of solidified what Cindy said, and I agree. Without future generations, what is the point? Because they will stand up for things prior generations couldn't handle. And the point you brought up good points where it was that prior generations just didn't know better, and altogether, everybody brought up some excellent points. This was a fantastic topic, and so ultimately, I love the rebuttals from Giselle and Pete, but my points are going to go to Cindy and Miranda.
Cindy and Miranda, thank you, Pete. Appreciate you. Absolutely. And guys, I'm going to bring in, and again, thank you guys for your thoughts. I guess votes are more thoughts and expressions than anything. We appreciate your thoughts and expressions. Will Wilson says, Cindy hit my heart with values. Thank you, Will Wilson. Appreciate that. Nice comment. All right, let's bring in Mr. Jacques. Now, Jacques, I think you might only be able to hear me, and we'll see if that's the case. If not, then I'll put everyone backstage so you and I could speak, because I know there might be some tech stuff. Mr. Rougeau, your thoughts, my friend. And can you hear me?
I could hear you, but we're going to have to be alone.
Well, here's the thing. If you can hear me, the panel won't interrupt you while you're voting. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, so I think we'll have to go. I will put everyone backstage so Jacques can hear me when we're on screen. No problem. That's okay.
Okay, I can hear you now, Abby. I can hear you now. I hope
Yes,
they
sir.
hear me backstage. Can they hear me backstage?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So sorry about the technical problems. You know,
No,
we're
it's
far,
okay.
far
It's
away in Rodden, Quebec, Canada, and the internet. I don't know what
No
it
problem.
is. But anyway, you know what? I never should have took this job as a judge because I'll tell
You
you.
always say that. You always say that.
No, I'll tell you. I mean, I took some notes here, and but you know, so I'm gonna just go ahead and read them. But anyway, let me just
And
spill
Jacques, and this
my
is for
guts here.
and this is for the philosophy topic, the first one.
I know, but you see, I'm so lost with this new contest. But anyway, I took note. I took notes more on the general debate.
General, okay, sure.
Of how it went, and
Okay.
and who I thought really touched me most. But I'm going to talk about Pete Babcock, because what a present.
I think you'll be able to hear me if I bring one person at a time that you're speaking of. So this is Pete Babcock. Jacques, you can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Perfect.
me, Pete?
I can hear you, Jacques.
Pete, I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. Your presence. You know, you have such a presence. You know, I feel like you're a mentor. You know, you bring this conversation to a place where I'm comfortable with. I find peace in everything you say. And anyway, all this to say that I love your perspective and on the picture especially. I like that picture too, the way you brought us the attention to the picture. Anyway, so enough of you, Pete. I just want to say I was very impressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacques. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
there
you,
we
Mr.
go.
Babcock.
So
Thank you,
let's go
sir.
with it. Let's go with Giselle if you want.
Giselle, let me bring her in. Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Giselle. Bonsoir, Giselle. You know, Giselle, you're always my favorite. Every time you show up, you know, you're always my favorite. On this,
Jacques, how do you say that in French? You're always my favorite. How do you say that?
Tu es ma favorite. But somehow on this conversation, I feel like you were trying to bring me in, but I felt like I never was caught up emotionally in what you were bringing. So you're probably not gonna like me no more, but it's okay. But I didn't feel tonight on this conversation that you brought me in as much as you did last week when you did that crazy sketch, and you took my show, the whole show. You stole it with that talking and jiving and talking, and I couldn't believe it. I was waiting. Maybe my expectations were too high with you tonight, because now you sounded like a normal person tonight. But anyway, but anyway, so maybe on the next topic, Giselle, I'm gonna pull more for you. So maybe we should bring in Cindy, if you don't mind.
No problem. Giselle, bring you back in a moment. Cindy Pickett, my good friend. Here we go.
Cindy,
Hi.
can you hear me, Cindy?
I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So I loved where you touched me very, very much was the example with the grandkids. When you brought in the story with the grandkids, and the perspective you had on that, I really loved it. I thought it was a great story. I also loved the picture, the way you asked everybody also their opinion. I thought that was great. No matter what the opinion was, just the fact that you asked everybody what they thought, that kind of brought me in, and I love the answers. I love the answers from everybody. And you want to know what my answer was? I'm going to tell you what the picture did for me.
Oh,
when I saw the picture, I just saw two words. When I looked, it was mesmerizing. The picture, it meant so much. And I saw a leader, and I saw a follower.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what I saw in the picture. I saw someone running in life ahead, a leader, and I saw the one in back trying to follow and hang on to get a grip of what's going on,
Right.
to hang in there.
That's great.
But I love that everybody had a different view, a different idea, a different perspective. So I really enjoyed your visit on your topic anyway.
Thank you.
Great insights, Jacques. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go with Miranda now.
Sure. Cindy, I'll see you in a moment, my friend. Absolutely. And Miranda, here we go.
Hi, Jacques.
Hello, Miranda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great, because I'm the champion of technical problems here. So anyway, Miranda, let me say, I was trying to decide how I was going to judge tonight, by putting numbers from 1 to 10, just so then at the end, it's easy for me to say, okay, I'll vote because I put a 6 or a 5 or a 7 or 8. And I started putting a 7 down for you. And then as the conversation went, I went up to 8. And then it was like, I like the way that you're very intelligent. And I see why you're a doctor in psychology, or that that you're a shrink. But you came and got me with. I would have for 2 minutes. I said to myself, I would love to be a patient of Miranda, just to go and sit and talk with her, because I really enjoyed. You're very interesting, Miranda, and so now, before I let you go, while I'm there, since I can't have everybody at the same time, I'm gonna have to go with you on this topic, you and Cindy. But it was very interesting to debate with everybody. I really enjoyed this topic, and I can't wait for the next one.
Merci, merci.
There you go. There you go. Jacques votes for Team Miranda. Thank you so much. And again, I'm going to put Miranda backstage. Congrats. You did great. Absolutely. Everyone did. You have 12 now. As I'm telling this.
Merci.
There you go. I'm going to do this right now, Jacques. I'm going to actually lower the mic. I got to tell you something. Very thorough, very detailed. You gave everybody your time, and I love the judges for being able to not only gather their notes, but being able to speak from a place that is not just analytical. To some extent, it has to be, but it also is so very human. So thank you for breaking things down on a very humane level to everybody, Jacques. Totally appreciate you, my friend. No tick issues. You did great as a judge, and we have one more to go because guys and gals and pals, you voted as well. We now have Team Pete and Team Giselle. Let's bring them in for their topics. And then after they're done, the show's over. I guess what I'll do is I'll do what Ferris said, right? What did Ferris say, Cindy? After the credits, go home. You guys can go home.
Oh, yeah, go home.
Go home.
No,
go home, right?
You know what the last line is of the movie?
What's that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Yes.
That's why it's an epic film.
It is
That's
an
what
epic
we
film.
have to remember.
It is an epic film with a great message. And again, we lost him too young. John Hughes. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Yeah. I was at a convention, autograph, with all my Ferris Bueller pictures. I had a picture. They used one of my pictures of him on anyway, it doesn't matter. But and the first person that came in said,
was it sort of like on the backdrop? When people see you, there's like a backdrop there, I think.
Where?
Like
the conventions, yeah. And first guy that came in, they had just opened the doors. He said, "I'm sorry to hear about John." And I said, "Why, John?" And he said, "No, John Hughes dropped dead in New York this morning."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
like
so
2009-ish, 2010-ish. Yeah.
That was hard to continue 2 or 3 days signing autographs in his honor. I mean, it was just sad.
It really was. And again, just great work. Resonated with he was able to touch upon teen angst in the 80s probably better than anybody else did. He spoke to he reminded me of, and again, I didn't know him. My mentor Richard Donner knew him really well. He said he was able to connect to the youth because he spoke at their level. He didn't try to speak down to them as an adult, and they respected that. They really did,
because he was one of them. He a part of him stayed in that era of evolution.
Right.
You know? He loved young people, and he understood young people, and he never grew up completely himself.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. And through his writing, he never really tainted the perception of the youth. He channeled their thoughts in such a way that spoke to us. And I think the one thing about him that also, you know this obviously better than I do, I never met the man, was there was a certain liberty there, right? I mean, for instance, you have to know your lines. You have to be able to, I think my philosophy is, if you want your take, you have to be prepared. If you're not prepared, you can't give us your take. And sometimes budgets don't allow you to give one anyway. But with John, I think he allowed the storytellers to experiment on set a little bit.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We got to improvise.
Yeah.
He loved the fact, or he would throw something at us, and
right.
It was a wonderfully challenging and exciting way to work. On film.
Absolutely.
With a really good director.
I am excited now to see Mr. Pete Babcock and Cindy and Giselle and Miranda. They'll all be on screen. Let me bring them in right now. And here's where we go. So I'm going to ask Mr. Pete Babcock and Giselle to decide who goes first regarding their team as far as presentations are concerned.
Giselle, it's your call.
Let's have you go first.
Pete's going to go first. Okay, great.
Okay. All right.
Giselle backstage. And I'm going to have Cindy and Miranda stay on screen as well. Again, once Pete is finished presenting, I'll ask Giselle if she wants to continue. If she does, 3 bonus points for that. And then once she's done, if she continues, of course, or if she elects to continue, I will ask Miranda and Cindy the same question as well. Mr. Pete Babcock, are you ready to go, my friend?
Sure.
Floor is yours.
So talking about Grenada and 83. First of all, in the history of the world, whenever there's been a conflict, a war of any sort, big or small, there's never a winner in a war. There may be a victor, but not a winner, because you're dealing with lives that are lost, lives that are destroyed because of terrible consequences of a war, with the injuries and so forth. There just are no winners. And let's go back historically a little bit, not all the way back, but let's go back to starting with JFK. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, he was having back-channel conversations with Khrushchev in Russia. They both actually understood the danger of having the ability to destroy the world and how close were coming to something like that possibly happening. And so in back channels, they were actually working to calm down the Cold War and bring some sense of peace to the world and reduce tensions. And then JFK gets assassinated. Then there are people that theorize that had something to do with the assassination, because the military-industrial complex at that time really wanted the conflict. They wanted to invade Cuba. They were looking for a reason to go in and take over Cuba. And then LBJ becomes president, and the conflict in Vietnam. Back up, Kennedy had made an announcement prior to his assassination. We were pulling out of Vietnam, and we're going to bring out 100 advisors or 1,000 advisors by Christmas, and we're going to reduce the footprint there and get out totally, because it was a losing proposition. And LBJ escalates the war, and which causes more friction, more tension in our country and throughout the world. Nixon gets elected claiming to have a secret peace plan, which he doesn't put into place when he becomes president. He deals with the anti-war protests. Then he has his own issues, with Watergate. So this distrust in the presidency is growing and among the American people. Ford takes over. Is I won't say an inconsequential president, but there weren't major things happening, and he's defeated. Carter comes in, inherits a pretty bad situation. There's, regardless of what people say politically, there's no president in history that controls inflation. When inflation, it just doesn't happen. As much as they want to talk about they can reduce inflation, all this, history shows that presidents don't affect it. So he deals with high inflation, the the Iran hostage situation, and he's out of office. Reagan comes in, and as Avi was stating in his premise to this whole thing, isn't wildly popular in the country, but the move in Grenada, it was almost like if we look for, we found that regime change, political assassinations, these don't affect positive change in the world. It creates more conflict. Okay. And so my argument would be that that was a mistake. When a country has a peaceful transition of power to a form of government that we don't care for, it doesn't give us the right to go in and change it because we don't agree that that's politically the way they should be running their country. So I think I would take the position that it was negative to go in to Grenada under the guise of protecting American students. If that was the only issue, then just fly the American students out and bring them home. If that really is the only reason you're there. We've since learned in recent years with the release of, when I say recent years, the Pentagon Papers and other government documents that have been released, that over the years, the CIA had tried to assassinate political leaders, successfully did sometimes. It didn't hurt. It didn't help us in any sense. It created more conflict. You could argue that we went to Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, and created maybe a quagmire in the Middle East and made it worse rather than better, had we not ever gone into Iraq and instead focused our attention on those who were directly responsible for 9/11 rather than just Saddam Hussein because we don't like him and he's a dictator. You could make a case that was really failure and caused more conflict in the world. So my position would be that anytime we step in to a situation like this where we try to bring about regime change, we try through political assassinations, all it does is drive people further apart. It doesn't bring people together. You want to bring people together, then you do more to help mankind. You assist in other areas of the world where they need help. You don't go in militarily and create more conflict. And I just think that it's a negative, and I think it's a failed policy that our government unfortunately has used too many times. And I think JFK had the right approach in his attempts to work behind the scenes to calm down tensions in the world. And we need more of that type of leadership today. We don't need somebody that's stirring things up and creating enemies rather than friends. And not everybody has to agree on what type of government that everybody has. So that would be my position.
Yeah. And as you know, when it came to JFK, he always talked about how he wanted to help the ARVN, the South Vietnamese, but not fight for the ARVN. And I think that's such a distinct difference from what we saw later on when LBJ doubled down. And
right.
Of course, we weren't just assisting or training them. We were actually fighting alongside them or fighting for them. But you brought up how, and not many people bring this up. This is very interesting. Yeah, Khrushchev and Kennedy were back channeling, but they were doing it through the Pope. The Pope was actually the one, as you know, probably that was helping them do that. And the reason I bring that up is because isn't it interesting to find out so many years later how even world leaders who are framed and depicted in such a fashion are probably doing something that we don't know about. But society and the media, the mass media at large, want to depict them and put them in a box so we can vilify them if they're part of the opposing team. And then we find out later on that some of these people were trying to make peace.
Exactly. A lot of people won't remember this because it was so long ago, but there was this public perception of Khrushchev banging his shoe on a podium, right? He was like the crazy dictator, who was out of his mind, and that was like the public image that's portrayed. And behind the scenes, he's talking to JFK about, hey, this is not good for my kids, your kids, our grandkids. Yeah. We're going to do something terrible here. Something's going to happen. And we got to calm this down. And they were both working at it.
Wouldn't you agree that JFK got handed probably one of the worst foreign policy dishes of any U.S. president?
Well, he inherited a lot of stuff, like
overseas,
the Bay of Pigs, right off the bat.
But there was also Turkey, right? People forget about that.
Right.
I mean, it's like he couldn't concentrate all his efforts domestically because, Bay of Pigs. So 61, he doesn't trust the military after that because they let him down. He thought that they were training Cuban refugees who were essentially lawyers and doctors, and then he finds out they weren't trained and they were sent out to slaughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he sold. The Eisenhower administration had put that plan in place, and then it fails dramatically. And the military thought that Kennedy would give in. Like, let's land these guys on the beach. 1,400 guys are landed on the beach, the Cuban exiles, and we can go to Kennedy if we have a problem, and he'll bring in air cover. And he said, no, I told you in the beginning, we're not getting involved. And, from that point on, CIA hated Kennedy. The military was not fond of that response, and a huge divide. And, Kennedy fired Allen Dulles, the director of the CIA, and threatened to tear the CIA apart and start from scratch. And even President Truman came out after that and said he was responsible for helping start the CIA.
Yes,
initially in his administration, and he says we should get rid of it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, completely. And Eisenhower warned Kennedy because he did. Eisenhower warned him. He told him, "Don't trust the military-industrial complex."
Exactly. Yeah, in his farewell speech.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. My gosh, guys. You know what I really love about this? Let me bring in Giselle right now. This is like the greatest classroom of all time. It's like a classroom I wish I could have had when I was in high school. We're learning so much from everyone here. Giselle, I'll ask you the same question that I asked Miranda and Sydney before you. Mm-hmm. Would you like to continue and present?
Yes, there are a couple of things I would like to add, specifically in regard to Reagan. And he was often very closely aligned with Margaret Thatcher. They had similar views. She privately disapproved of this invasion. Part of that is because she didn't have a lot of foreknowledge that it was happening. And Grenada had been a British colony previously. They had gained their independence from Britain. And it came so close after this explosion. It really makes me question, what was the point of having this invasion at this time, at this point? What is that going to solve? What is that going to do? And I'm sure there are reasons we'll never know about from any leader, any political leader in office, things behind the scenes we could never even imagine. But outwardly, it really does make us question that. And this particular invasion was also condemned by the United Nations overwhelmingly. So as a violation of international law. So why is it really a way to stop the spread of communism? Avi, I think you said at one point a socialist leader was put in place in Grenada, or the socialist leader had taken over. And we have to remember that socialism and communism, while often closely aligned, are two different political philosophies. So again, it makes me question, what is the point of this? And it does outwardly appear to me
there was a revolution over there in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
And they peacefully installed a socialist government in the former British colony, of course, because that's where it originated from.
Giselle, you're so well schooled in this, and from understanding history. Were you born in '83?
Yes, actually, yes. Yes. You were actually born in '83, so there you go. Peach, you had a front row seat. She was right there in '83.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Before I was born.
You guys are amazing. Great team.
I'm impressed with your knowledge. That's great.
You guys are amazing. And again, I hope you're reading the comments here, because this is all for you guys. It's for Giselle, Miranda, Cindy, and Pete. The history lesson is amazing. Great information. I'm learning so much from this topic. Post-Tet offensive, you mean, right? Yeah, horrible idea. Will, it was like the New York Yankees against the middle school team. It was kind of dumb, my opinion. You're talking about Grenada. Well, yeah. Grenada being the middle school team. Yeah. I believe we just didn't find the weapons, just me. Great comments here, guys. Appreciate it. So I'm going to ask Julio, I see your comment. When a government hides things from its people because they know said things are wrong, how can we consistently feel a trust that our government truly has our best interest at heart? That was one of my do nows for my students. It's a great question. That's a great question. I want to explore that actually, Julio. That's not now, but that is a great question. I'm going to jot that down. I would like to present that perhaps to this panel or maybe another. Cindy and Miranda, would you guys want to jump in on this?
While you were talking, and I'm probably of the same age era as you, and all those presidents, and generations of war, and I believe and know that man, since we stood upright and began to communicate, there has always been, like the movie, war games. Man needs, man needs, and it's mostly men. It's a male thing to dominate, or to win, or to, as far as war. And it's something that has just now, that's what I was thinking about when you were saying all the war games that different presidents played, and will continue to play until now. They're going to do, what is it they want to do? They want to do a drone station or a nuke. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, no, a lot of things are tied to this because we're talking 83. That same year was when Ronald Reagan was first pitched the idea of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which would have completely destroyed us economically speaking. Completely. It wasn't even optional back then. He was listening. And to play 7 Degrees of Separation here, Cindy's co-star in Ferris Bueller's Day Off is Matthew Broderick. In 1983, he starred in the movie War Games.
That's War Games, that's right.
And he starred in War Games because he turned down the role that was, of course, given to Michael J. Fox. See, they both auditioned for Family Ties. It was down to Matthew Broderick and Michael J. Fox for the lead role of Alex P. Keaton, who was a young Republican. So it's all tied together. It's all
Cindy made a good point.
Yeah.
That almost always this is men, right? This is men.
Men like the war.
I keep thinking, like, why don't we finally wake up and have a woman president? What's wrong with us? Oh, come on. Let's have a woman with things. It worked out all that great,
Yeah, I mean, if the policies are there, it's long overdue. I would agree with you. If the policies are, I mean, and again, I think that it's great that you guys can explore the way you are. Miranda, I'll ask you the same question. Would you want to explore this topic as well, or no?
I just have this. I have a few statements.
Please.
Because I feel like I'm learning so much. I feel like a lot of this I definitely didn't learn a lot of this in school. A lot of this conversation.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I learned more on this show than I did in school with the history stuff. But my statement is just like a general statement of, it's just sad how we can't trust our government and our leaders a lot of the time, and how things are twisted in the media, and how lies are things are presented as one thing, but it's really another thing. There's always like a hidden, not always, but a lot of the times there's a hidden agenda to these things that a lot of people get hurt for, I guess, greed reasons, other
games.
Yeah, it's all a game, and it really is sad how things turn out to be that way, because we should be able to trust our leaders and to have things presented to us the way that they were intended to be, rather than always a hidden backwards agenda behind things.
If war cripples people, power cripples the person who creates the war.
Yeah, power
which is man. So can we trace this somewhere? Yes, but it's frustrating to not stop what you can trace back to its origin. Again, point of no return, maybe. Great points here. I do want to bring in our judges, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it differently now. I don't want our judges to forget the next topic, which Giselle will present, and that's going to be fight choreography. So the judges, beginning with Howard, will let us know, again, are they voting for Team Pete Babcock? Because Giselle, of course, gave us her thoughts as well and presented, and then so did Cindy and Miranda. Howard, your thoughts?
Yeah, again, great job by all you guys. Just really just different perspectives you all kind of brought to the table. Pete, I really love how you kind of went back all the way to Kennedy's administration and then brought it back to current day, the Grenada situation. So you kind of give us some deep context in there. And, I feel like the heart of your argument was, anytime we step into any situation or regime change, it tears people apart. And we should focus on what are the things we could contribute to bring people together. So how you summed that up, I really, really loved. Giselle, you came in, you talked about Margaret Thatcher, or her condemning this act, and also the United Nations also condemning this act as well. So you kind of a nice little bow as well. So my vote goes to Pete and Giselle on this one.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate you and your thoughts and taking the time to take down the notes. Right now at this juncture, I'll bring in Jacques. Jacques, I'm going to bring you in because Peaceful Pete has some tech issues, so our second judge is not here now. So, Jacques, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put everyone backstage, I know, due to tech, and if you'd like to address everyone one at a time, feel free. I will put Giselle backstage, Miranda backstage as well, Mr. Pete Babcock, Mrs. Cindy Pickett, and Mr. Jacques Rougeau. Let me bring you in, my friend.
Hello, Avi.
There we go. Hello.
Hello. Yes. So listen, Avi, this has been a little bit more hard for me, this topic, because as you know, American culture is not in my books very much.
Sure.
And so I'm going to tell you as it is, and then I'll tell you how I judged my winners on this one.
Absolutely.
I take notes. I'm not sure if I want to have him come in, but if you want to bring him in, one's going to be disappointed.
It's your call, my friend. It's your call.
Okay. So let me have. So Natalie's beside me. Says, no, don't have him come in. Don't have him come in. so anyway, but I speak from the heart. So
yes.
So let me have let me have Cindy first.
Cindy, no problem. Welcome, Cindy. Okay.
Hi.
Cindy, I'm just gonna do on a personal note. I'm gonna say that I love you, Cindy. I think that you're so authentic. You're a great person to listen to. You bring your feelings to the table. You're straightforward. You're like me. There's no gray zone. It's black or white, and I like that. I haven't taken any notes on this one for you on this one. I don't know why. I enjoyed hearing you talk, but I didn't catch on to anything that really grabbed me. But that's not probably your fault. It's probably my lack of knowledge in politics. But I just wanted to say that I love you anyway.
I love you too, Jacques.
Okay.
And for those wondering, Jacques and Cindy have been on screen about 3 times already. This is the fourth time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't remember, Cindy, but I do.
No, I do remember, but I didn't remember 4 times.
Yeah.
9 times, but yeah, you're a wonderful human, Jacques.
100%.
So let me have you if I can. Let me try to get Miranda if I can.
Okay, no problem. Miss Cindy Pickett, I will see you in a moment, my friend. No problem. And let's bring in Miranda.
Jacques.
Miranda, you're seducing me more and more every time I hear you talk. I just wanted to say there's one line that I remember that I wrote down. Just one line. It's you can't trust our leaders, and I feel it brought up such a big wave inside of me because I have that thought. I'm going to say something. I'm going to have some enemies because first of all, my brother Raymond, he's the mayor of this city. My brother's a mayor. He's been the mayor. He's been for 6 years. And
is that Quebec City?
No, that's near Montreal in Rougeau.
Okay.
But I want to say something. My father was into politics a lot, and he always wanted the independence. He always wanted Quebec to separate from Canada. He was with René Lévesque. It's a long story about that. Mm-hmm. And every election, my father would call me 1 week before, 6 days before, 5 days before, 4 days before. Don't you forget to go and vote now in 4 days. Don't you go there? And I'd never go vote. I don't go vote. So I know I'm going to make enemies when I say that. But for me, I have this simple mind, the philosophy of to vote for one cheater or to vote for another cheater. I'd rather not spend any time to go, no gas money to go vote. Anyway, so all that to say, and I feel like that about media. I have a big grudge against media because there's so many things that are important in life that like even sports events or anything, but because you don't have the contact with the newspaper, you don't have the contact with the director, or they put priorities that bring them more sponsors or bring them more money to their venues or to their companies instead of really getting down to what's going on out there and Mr. Everybody, like the stories. And so you touched me, you touched me when you said you can't trust. That's what really trickled me, is when you said you can't trust the leaders. I thought that right away. So Miranda, it was really nice working with you tonight. I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to talk again with you on the show.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you, Miranda.
Let me go with Giselle.
Okay.
Hey, Giselle.
Hello again.
Tu étais mieux cette fois ici. You were better this time. So I like the attention that you brought to me. You lit up a nice side of me, because I was always fascinated in life by I'm not going to say it right, but you can repeat it. Socialism and capitalism, like, you know, the two differences, like how it was, like, you know, where everybody lived with the same salary and everybody had the same food and work with the capitalism and all that stuff. And I was always fascinated by that when China turned, for the little bit of history I know, but when they switched, I can't remember in what year they became socialism. And I was always fascinated by that, because we're all living in the same world, and you have completely different ways of living, different philosophies in different countries. And that lit me up. So I like the attention you brought to that. And I also wanted to let you know that I've always been fascinated by that. So that, me personally, came to touch me. So I appreciated that very much. So stand by. So now I need to talk to Pete.
Absolutely. I'll bring in Mr. Pete Babcock. Giselle, I'll see you in a moment. Here we go. Okay.
My dear friend Pete.
Jacques.
We don't even know each other, but that's okay.
I know.
But Pete, I got to tell you something. There was too many president stories. You know, I'm not a political guy, like, you know. So you were bringing me to left, to right, to north, to south. I was going like, holy shit! I was going like, you know, this guy knows too much. So, and you were hurting my brain more than anything. But you know what? This is not your fault. It's all because of it's all because of me, my weaknesses in politics. But you know what? There's something that I held back that really came in, and that's why I'm going to give my vote to you guys. So there's one thing you said on this one that I really liked, and when you said, in wars there's no winners but only victors, and that touched me, because I was sitting there and I lost half of the conversation after that, because I was trying to figure out what does he mean by that, and you know, so I'd like to take a second of your time now and explain to me, what do you mean by that? Because seems like it's making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What do you mean by there's no winners, only victors?
Well, my opinion, I may be wrong, but my opinion has always been that whenever there's a war, you have two losers.
Yeah.
Because you have tremendous loss of life that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
You have lives that are destroyed because of terrible injuries, you know, from war, that are destroyed forever, which just destroys families. So to me, there are no winners in a war.
So the victors, that's what I understood. So the one who puts the flag up, the one who raises the flag.
That's right.
Yeah.
So somebody raises the flag, but what did they win? They've destroyed.
The collateral damage is too big. The collateral damage is too big. And that's what I understood. That's what came
exactly.
and touched me.
Yeah.
That
You look at
came
right now in the Middle East right now, between Israel and Gaza, that Gaza is totally destroyed. The people are terrible position. You know, those that have been killed, but also the people who are still living there, starving to death. And but all the country is destroyed. So who has gained from this? You know, who wins? There's no winners, you know, but somebody
And
at
it's such
the
a
end
shame
will
that the
claim
people, and it's such a shame because you brought this up, Pete. It's such a shame that the people over there in the Middle East, especially as you mentioned in Gaza, it's a shame that the Palestinian people have to deal with their own regime because there is
Yeah.
no true form of government over there.
Right.
And they are way wealthier than people assume because
Yeah.
the money that they take from Iran is spent to build underground tunnels so that to dig inside Israel and blow
Yeah.
up hospitals and
Right.
blow up
Right.
police headquarters
Yeah.
and kill people that have nothing to do with this particular war whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a crying
So
shame.
innocent people on both sides, anytime there's a war, innocent people pay with their lives. It's tragic.
So Abby, just jump out of the picture for a second, just if you can.
I'm gonna
Just jump out of the picture, Abby, and just leave me and Pete alone. Okay, good. Now, because I couldn't hear you well, because when we're three on there, I can't hear you well.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, Pete, that if ever we meet on Saturday night, in this competition, it's, I know it's going to be my downfall, but if you really want to make it my downfall, you got to choose politics, and then I'm dead.
Okay, I'll remember that, Jacques. But no, it won't be your downfall. You'll do great. You kidding?
100%. Mr. Babcock, I will bring you right in, my friend. Thank you so much. Great perspective, Jacques. Now it's just us. I jumped back in,
okay.
but I can never
Okay,
jump as well.
okay.
Hold on, I can never jump as well as you. You did backflips. You can't hear me now. What?
Sorry, Abby, I can't hear you, but it
No,
was
you can't hear me.
it was an amazing. If you could hear
Oh,
me,
I
it
was saying,
an amazing
I
show.
appreciate the endorsement. I appreciate you sending me a $10,000 check in the mail saying that I'm the greatest host you've ever seen ever. Since you can't hear me, I'm going to keep going. I appreciate you saying that I could have been the greatest pro wrestling tag team partner in the history of pro wrestling. I appreciate the endorsement. I appreciate you. Oh, I hear myself again. $10,000. I'm going to put you backstage, Jacques. Having a lot of fun with Mr. Rougeau. Again, a friend off camera and on camera. And great insight from a man who should never, ever talk about his perceived weaknesses. He can talk about anything, and so could Pete. Pete brought up a good point. I'll bring in Mr. Pete Babcock now. 49, right? China, socialist government? I think it was 49.
You remember better than I do. But the difference between communism and socialism, we got two different types of government,
Right.
but we get into all kinds of political conversations that Jacques will drive Jacques crazy. So we don't.
Yeah. But that's something one day I would like to talk foreign policy wise, how like Mao won that civil war.
Yeah.
That's the topic in of itself. I mean, geez Louise.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you again. No, listen, hey, JW, everyone here on screen makes what I do so easy because look how much they give of themselves, and I appreciate that. Let's bring in Giselle, let's bring in Miranda, and let's bring in Cindy. And I did tally Jacques' vote. I believe it went to Pete and Giselle. So yeah, I think that's in there. It's back there. Right now, we're down to our final topic. Final topic. That's it. After I present this to Giselle, if Pete wants to join in and present, he can. Whether or not he does, I will ask Cindy and Miranda the same question, and we will tally all of your votes. And again, whoever wins this is 1-0 in the standings. That's all. It's like a regular season game. We'll see how this thing goes. Giselle, I'm going to read this right now to our viewers. We have a lot of new ones. They may not be privy to the topic, but I'll read it as fast as I can, but hopefully it's coherent. Fight choreography is hardly a new art form. Since before Romeo and Juliet, even before Romeo slew Tybalt in that play, fight scenes have provided pivotal moments in a drama, defined a character, and they've offered a cathartic release. When words are not enough, actors use their bodies to express anger and frustration in an explosion of movement. In a field that's becoming at once more technical and creative, today's fight choreographers use sources as diverse as kabuki, as you know, swordplay, and Chinese operas to create their effects. Let's remember that storytelling is only 30% verbal. That being said, do highly choreographed fight scenes in the film medium add or detract from the storytelling? It could depend. I brought up examples earlier. There's some that predate the 18th century, but I'm going to talk about Michael Bay. The action in his films, the Transformer films to be exact, are highly choreographed, and they're filmed with a dizzyingly rapid series of cuts and angles that make it almost incomprehensible. He's become one of the worst at this, but he's also one of a majority of action directors who seem to have embraced this view that more plus faster equal better, but they're devoid of meaning or emotion, and they're too hard to follow. But if we go to the other side of the extreme, look at Marvel's Daredevil series. JW, you're a fan of that show. This was clearly and highly choreographed, but it also strives for a level of realism. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's chaotic, but the blows land as if they count. It felt real enough that you winced at the blows when they landed, and you were totally invested in the fight. So the question, is it action for action's sake, or does it involve us because it reveals character? So the actual question is, do highly choreographed fight scenes generally take you away from the overall story, Giselle? Or strictly speaking, as a film goer, do highly choreographed fight scenes enhance the story in the film and TV medium? The floor is yours whenever you are ready to go. I will put you, of course, I'll keep Cindy and Miranda on screen. Mr. P. Babcock, you and I will go backstage, my friend. The floor is yours, Giselle.
I would definitely say that overall, in general, they do add to the story because they're revealing character and plot. Those fight scenes are choreographed in a way that show you how those characters got to that position. What choices did they make that led them there? But also it reveals character. Are you a hothead? Are you someone who's trying to escape the fight? There are all these little moments in between. And film choreography and stage choreography are actually very different fields. When you're on set with a film, you will be under the direction of a stunt coordinator. You will not be under the direction of a fight director or a fight choreographer. You will be under the direction of a stunt coordinator. Some of the outliers that I think detract from the story are Transformers, as previously mentioned. Also, I am going to disagree with you on this point, Avi. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did take me out. That was mostly due to the wire work, but because you could see the wires in the film, in the finished product. But when you have that fantastical element that is also part of the choreographed fights, that's something that can take you away. Everyone has to work together to make these highly choreographed. And they are highly choreographed because you have the lens of the camera. That's the eye you're seeing these fights through, is this lens of the camera. So what the camera picks up, what the camera sees, is what the audience will see. There are angles that you have to keep in mind. If you're getting an overhead shot, you might actually be punching way under the chin. If you're getting an over-the-shoulder shot, you might actually have to raise your target a bit. You have storytellers in such small spaces most of the time on their marks so they can stay in frame with the camera, creating these complex multi pieces of choreography. So overall, they definitely add to the story, especially when everyone is working together, when the camera operators, the cinematographer, the director, or the stunt coordinator are working together. Examples of some really great fight sequences that add to the story: Tony Jaa, the protector, fourth take, single shot, longest single shot action fight sequence in a film. It's about 4 minutes long. And yes, you're amazed at the cool moves. Yes, it's really fun to watch and figure out, oh, how did they do that? What are they doing there? But you see him tracking down this hallway and up this stair, and there's one group of combatants, one group of adversaries, and he's taking care of them, not without some injuries and blows to himself. And that's the other thing. These characters are fighting injured. So when the characters in stage or film remember that they have an injury, maybe they can't use their arm now, maybe they have to switch arms if they're in a sword fight, maybe they are breathing more heavily, they've had a cut to their side, their chest, they have exertion from fighting so many people overall. It's those little moments that are part of the choreography that people don't really think about. And as always with film and stage, we are striving for verisimilitude. We are striving for that truth-like, because we're telling a story that we want to relate and resonate with the masses. So we're not necessarily striving for exact 100% realism, but you need those realistic details in there to create those overall stories, to create those characters. Why are they fighting? What are they hoping to gain? What is their objective? What does it say about their character? How do we know what their skill level is? So that's another piece of choreography that you put in there is that you take into account your character skill level. Have they been training for 10 years? Have they never picked up a sword before? Have they gotten into a lot of street fights? Have they taken martial arts classes of any kind? Asian, African, European. How do they know when to react? How can they turn a block into an offensive move as well? So these choreographed sequences give us these outlooks of the characters, and then we get to see their reactions. Oh, I wasn't expecting that to land, and it did. Okay, this person might be better than I thought. Maybe it was a lucky shot. A lot of these pieces that all come together to create the fight. You have the shape of the choreography. You have the moves. You have them written out. It's choreography, dance, right. We've stolen that word in the fight world, and it is kind of like a dance. You have a scene partner. You have to communicate with that scene partner. You do that to make sure that everyone is safe on set. You do that to make sure that no one is getting injured. You do that to ensure that you know where you are in the scene. If you get lost in the fight, you need to be able to have a way to say cut or have somebody say cut and roll that back. Because remember, we're in these really tight spaces, so we can stay in frame. So some of the greatest examples of film fights, Princess Bride, of course. Everybody brings that up. Fantastic storytelling there. You've got Inigo Montoya's entire arc from the time he was 6. He's looking for revenge. You've got the Dread Pirate Roberts. What has he gone through? Also, there have been several Dread Pirate Roberts. Sorry, spoilers. It's a pretty old movie at this point. But you've got all of these multiple arc stories, and you see how they come together and what the characters really want, what their objectives are. Pirates of the Caribbean has some great fight scenes, and they use their environment really well. So that's another element that adds to this truth-like telling of stories, that adds to this realism, that adds to the story overall. Are they using their environment? How are they using their environment? Does this seem like something anyone would do? Does their upbringing help them know what they can and cannot use? Gosh, there's so many. Star Wars, especially the original trilogy, starts out really strong, and there's a lot of different quarterstaff and sword techniques used in the lightsabers because they can be manipulated so well, and that has to be highly choreographed. Or on the set, there are knocks off of bridges. Where are the storytellers falling to? How does that convey which each side in this good and evil fight want? What's the reaction when someone kicks that person off the bridge or pushes that person off the bridge? If you're Darth Vader, you're probably going to laugh, or that type of a character. You're probably going to laugh and move on. If you're not, if you're a Jedi Knight, you may have a lot of complicated feelings about that. That's still part of the choreography because it shows us your reactions to those elements. So that is how highly choreographed fights add to the story overall. They do keep the actors and anyone on set safe. That is still a primary issue. they tell us, they reveal character and background in ways that we might not have thought of before. They let us know what led up to this moment in time, why these characters are here, what the objective is, and then we get to see the reactions. That's the part that really helps sell it, and that is part of the choreography. We get to see the reactions, we get to hear the sounds, we get to hear the breath. We can see their inner monologues happening as they're fighting. You have some characters who will be thinking 3 moves ahead. You have some who are just trying to save their life and not die, preferably not get injured. And all of that makes for exciting, compelling storytelling. And this is why highly choreographed fights add to their respective films when they are done right and not gratuitous.
20+ year fight choreographer Giselle, guys and gals. Yeah, very knowledgeable. Mr. Pete Babcock, I'll bring you in as well. Gosh almighty. One of the people I took classes from years ago, I mentioned, was F. Murray Abraham, who had a great film with our very own in this tournament, Eric Roberts, By the Sword. It was a film called By the Sword, and it took them, I think, 8 or 9 months, not including training, just choreography, just. But yeah, guys, that was Giselle. I'm going to ask Mr. Pete Babcock if he would like to add to that as well.
Yeah, Avi, I'm a simple basketball guy.
The
fights that we have are just spontaneous. We have. So, my very gifted partner, what she said. I agree. I mean, now being just a fan of going to movies,
sure.
I would agree completely with Giselle, and that it reveals the character, it reveals something about each one of the characters and what they represent, and it's so much of the story. So way out of my area of expertise, but I defer to my very talented partner.
I'm getting goosebumps here because this epitomizes what this network's all about. I love how there's this Breakfast Club feel here of everyone that brings something to the table, and it's through our passion. I think that's what unites us no matter what, and we're learning from each other, and this is such a great experience. I feel like we're all one big giant team tonight, from Jacques to Howard to everybody.
Yes.
It's incredible what you guys are doing here on screen. I want you to know that.
If
now,
I may,
Giselle, you wanted to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. This kind of work was so important. Douglas Fairbanks recognized it very early on and brought in a fencing master to help with his films. And I didn't even get into Errol Flynn and Basil Rathbone.
Earl Flynn, yeah. Earl Flynn, Robin Hood. So that being said, I'm going to ask Cindy and Miranda if they want to jump in.
Okay, as an actress,
yes,
in theater, in college and theater, I learned we had a French fencing Olympic teacher to teach us stage fencing. It's the same. You looks the same. You just, you won't kill anyone.
It is very.
You learn the gift of and the movement, and it's quite wonderful.
Sure.
Never got to use it in film. Always wanted to use it. I couldn't find a place to do that. But I did a movie years ago with Stockard Channing. I don't know if you girls know who Stockard Channing is. But it was
Where the Heart Is, so many others. West Wing.
Yeah, West Wing.
Yeah. Grease.
Yes.
Grease, right.
Grease.
Right.
I don't remember her character name in Where the Heart Is with Natalie Portman. She was in that, and West Wing. Those are probably the 3 biggest ones I remember her from.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we were both, it was a true story, and it was Peter Coyote played one of the teachers, and I can't remember Robert Loggia played the teacher who actually, in this true story, murdered Stockard Channing's character, who was this teacher, and I was Peter Coyote's girlfriend. Anyway, we had this scene where I was supposed to slap her, and we were in front of the lockers at the school, and we had practiced, we worked on it.
Sure.
And right before we shot it, she said, just hit me. To make it look real, just hit me. So I did. And she got mad at me.
Yeah,
and didn't speak to me hard. She just severed that,
True story, Cindy. I directed I wrote and directed a horror series called The Lake, and Giselle and Miranda were in this series. They were team partners. They had a scene where essentially Miranda proposed the same question. Giselle, let me just slap you. And Giselle, how did you react when you heard that?
No, I
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I said, just do it. I'm fine. Like, it's cool. Like, I won't be mad.
Many horror stories of fight directors and colleagues who have been injured. One in particular got boxed in the ear in a college production and lost his brain.
You gotta be careful.
Safety. Yes.
Yeah. And at that point in time, I know a little bit more about film choreography now and how to work the camera and use the camera a few years than I did a few years ago when that scene was taking place. But I was adamant, I am not touching your face. This is how we get our work still. We are hands.
You know what? If you ever choreographed any fight scenes in the NBA, he's part of our tournament and he'll appreciate this joke. I guarantee you, you need to hire Rick Mahorn. Right, Pete?
Yeah.
But that's it, Cindy. That was an incredible story. So Stalker was essentially saying, "Hit me."
She did. She said, "Make it real."
Real.
Make it real. Hit me. And maybe we hadn't practiced a stage slap, so when she said, "Hit me," and we were in the moment, and I was really mad at her, and I slapped her. I didn't hit her. I slapped her, and it was so real on camera. I mean,
incredible.
They kept the shot. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And guys, in case you're wondering,
after she told you,
I know. I guess
I did get a text, and I did tally. I got Jacques and Howard's votes for Cindy's topic. Somebody had asked me this. I did tally that. Essentially, they voted for Cindy when it came to the topic that I gave her, which was essentially an image that she created a story with, and all of you jumped in as well. So for the person who asked me, I did tally that. Tell Me a Story was the name of the topic. And Miranda, do you want to tell us anything as well? Fight choreography is the topic. Giselle, Pete, and Cindy all gave us their takes. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you, Avi, that sometimes it is just, I feel like the action is just for action's sake. Sometimes. A lot of the time it does add to the story, but just for an example, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but the whole Expendables movie series, I don't understand what was going on in any of those movies. I felt like people were just fighting each other. And I have no idea what the concept was. Like, it was just fight after fight. And I was just sitting there and wondering.
Which could also be the result of a mediocre script, right?
Yeah.
What's even the storyline?
Or it's for children.
Or what, Cindy? I'm sorry?
Or it's for young people, children.
Right. Yeah, younger demographics.
Because, it
they
wasn't
just want,
an intellectual.
They want substance. They want style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it was more of like a manly film. You want to see that kind of sells sometimes. Like, my boyfriend at the time was very enthralled with the movie. I didn't find it so enthralling. Not to put anybody down, but I just felt like it was a lot of action for action's sake. So I think that sometimes that can happen, but it could definitely lift the story too.
A fantastic night.
Oh, I can definitely.
I had the best seat in the house, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring in Howard and Jacques. They'll give us their votes. And our audience, guys, again, I'm trying to see if I could do the quick math. Everyone's presented, giving us their take. We'll find out who goes 1-0 in the standings in this team. Really awesome prize for the winners. It'll be pretty great to see that once we get to that point. But let's enjoy the moment in the meantime, such as the moment we're going to have right now with Howard Collado. And Jacques will be on right after Howard. Let's bring in Mr. Collado with his thoughts.
Again, just amazing points by everyone here on the screen. Avi, you made me think about, I am a fan of the Daredevil series, and it made me think about, I think what makes a good fight sequence. And I think it's maybe that balance between that visceral, spontaneous, that kind of spontaneity that we get in a real fight. I think that Pete kind of talked about in the NBA, right? It's fast, it's quick, it happens, Are you able to capture that, yet to Giselle's point, keep everyone safe and working? And you summed it up, Giselle, by saying, highly choreographed fights reveals character and background. What led up to this moment, in those little specific reactions that I think really make those scenes so like money. When you see like that smile, or you see like, oh, or that that universal thing that fights always do. Reaction, sounds, and breath. And I think that when you brought it home to those basic points, we really made a good argument on that. And then you kind of summed it up by saying also, and I love this, we see their inner monologue happening as well, right? I think, Avi, you also talked about it, how so much of the performance is nonverbal. And what better way to capture that than in a fight, good fight. So, points to Giselle and Pete. And I love your point, Pete, about, those real life NBA fights and how do you navigate that,
Again, watch the Rick Mahorn show we had about last year. Thank you, Howard. Appreciate you. Yeah. Let's bring in Jacques Rougeau. See who Jacques. So I want to put the entire panel backstage. Jacques will speak to them one-on-one, and we shall find out. Thank you, guys. I'll bring you back momentarily. I always feel guilty putting people backstage. I don't like doing it. Let's bring in Jacques right now. Okay, my friend, can you hear me?
I think I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Who's coming on down first?
Avi, well, let's put it this way. If I'm looking at, I'm just going to save the trip for Pete. I'm not going to have him come on because I'm going to say right away, he was like a little bit out of the subject. Like he likes the improvising. And then, so it wasn't his specialty. So Pete, I really appreciated you tonight, but there's somebody I got to talk more about. But Pete, lovely working with you tonight. I can't wait to meet you down the road. And you're a great person.
Please, let me bring in Pete. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, Pete. I just want you to know that I know you didn't have much to say about the subject, so I'm not going to spend much time because there's other people that I have to really put in place there. But but I enjoyed you so much, Pete, and
thank you, Jacques.
You're an example of society, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm probably going to get off the air after this, and but looking forward to never compete against you.
Jacques, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So what you're saying is, don't compete with Pete.
Exactly. Don't compete with
Put that on a shirt. We'll have to make a T-shirt out of that. I like it.
I hope we have a lot of future conversations, Jacques.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pete.
Talk in the future.
Two gentlemen.
Right.
Two gentlemen.
Take
guys
care of yourself.
Thank you. You too. You too.
I'm going to go ahead.
I'll bring in Pete in a moment. Who would you like to address next, Mr.
I'd like to just talk to Miranda really fast.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Miranda.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed once again, getting to know you more because we spoke, on the comments and stuff. I had no idea. I never put a picture with the words, and now seeing you tonight was really amazing. I like the little part of you not appreciating that it adds more to the scenes. I think it was a little different perspective, and it kind of got my attention a little bit. So I admire you're going against the current there, and I did. Although I'm a guy who really likes, of course, I've been a wrestler all my life, but we had too much fighting and no storytelling. So although there's a lot of storytelling in wrestling, but I appreciated you very much tonight, Miranda, and I wish you good luck in the continuing of this competition. I'm looking forward to do some more talking with you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to go with Cindy now. If you have Cindy, I want to say something to Cindy.
Absolutely.
Cindy, I got to tell you, I like the fact that you Pat Benatar'd me. Hit me with your best shot there. I thought that was pretty cute. Me being a wrestler, I don't know.
As a writer, I appreciate that line. You Pat Benatar'd me.
I got to tell you, Cindy. I've had a few times in my career where we got on stage and we promote a fight or something, and we had face-to-face or interviews, and we always got into that situation. And I remember doing that personally, telling somebody like, hey, listen, go ahead and stiff me on this one. Let's make it look good, and because we're trying to sell our product. So that came out and touched me. I like that very, very much. Always fun working with you, Cindy. I wish you good luck. And
we'll see each other again, Jacques.
For sure, for sure.
For sure.
For the fifth time.
So I'm going to finish with Giselle.
Giselle, okay. Miss Cindy Pickett, I'll bring you back, my friend, as well as Giselle.
Giselle. Jesus, Giselle, it's almost like you were on a mission. Giselle, I mean, you talk so much that Natalie went to bed. But Giselle, I gotta tell you, this is funny because you had me there really good, and then you lost me a bit. Then you grabbed me again, and you got me again, and you were getting long, and then finally, you grabbed me again, and then I said, so you made a lot of interesting points, a lot. And thank God you came back to once in a while to the question, which was, does this add to a movie or not? You were going into all these choreographed things that I know of because in wrestling and things. But the main question was, does it add to a story? And I appreciated your all package deal of the thing. So I'm going to give you this one, Giselle. It was very long but very entertaining. I got to tell you. But very, very interesting. And I like the way that you went into details. You actually taught me a few things too. So I'm going with you, Giselle, tonight.
The official vote is for Team Giselle and Pete. Okay. Giselle, any words for Mr. Jacques Rougeau?
Merci. It's always a pleasure having you on, Mr. Rougeau. We love having you here. You have fantastic comments every Saturday. I'm glad you're part of this tournament overall, both of these as well. And there are absolutely storytelling moments as a wrestler. They're everywhere, even if you don't recognize them. But think about all of the promos that you have to do and how that leads up to the fight as well. And you might know who's supposed to win and who's supposed to lose. But then you have all these little moments to play with in between, and you can really let that shine. So.
And he's also, remember, he's trained talent. Mm-hmm. He's promoted wrestling. Mm-hmm. He's part of the most, in terms of royalty, pro wrestling royalty, you're talking generation after generation, if I'm not mistaken, 4 generations of the Rougeau name. So, I definitely think Jacques knows, and he teaches kids psychology. Well, I'd like to. Teaching the kids psychology because a lot of the wrestlers who've succeeded in promotions like Total Nonstop Action and WWE, you listen to their testimonials, they say Jacques Rougeau is the reason we know ring psychology.
I'll tell you, Abby, if you take yourself off because I can't hear when you're on there, if you pull yourself
you missed
off,
all that? You missed all that?
Take yourself. Okay. So just to tell you, Abby, yes, indeed, I had the greatest pleasure of putting a great competition for the last 3 years, Wrestling Academy, and putting the talent all over Canada on Zoom with me, and then preparing their match on Zoom 1 month before they come to perform live in Montreal, going from all the presence, the arrival on the mat, the interaction, the storytelling, and putting all that together is something I'm fascinated by, and that's why I liked it so much, Giselle, tonight. Your whole putting everything together because you want to detail. So Abby, thank you so much for having me tonight. It was a wonderful trip. I loved all of them. Pete, Giselle, Cindy, Miranda, you were great tonight, and I will be there as usual Saturday to continue, and next Wednesday too. And this is congratulations, Abby, on what you're doing. This is amazingly, and it's fun. It's entertaining.
Jacques, you bring so much positive energy, and you make everyone around you better. Well,
I'm learning. I'm going to learn. I'm going back to school with you guys.
There's nothing I can teach you.
Just one thing, Abby. Just one thing I'm going to ask you. Just one thing out of this whole competition.
Shave the beard. Shave the beard.
No, just don't put me in a history competition with Pete. That's all I'm asking.
I don't blame you. I don't want that either. I hope you have a fantastic night, my friend.
Thank you, Abby. Good night.
Absolutely. Mr. Jacques Rougeau, let me bring in the gang. What a wonderful... How about Jacques' energy, Pete? His positive energy.
He's terrific. He's terrific.
He is
absolutely incredible.
Great.
So incredible.
Humble.
Guys, I'm going to let you right now know, again, thanks for all your votes. I'm going to talk to Cindy and Pete and Miranda and Giselle. We'll bid each other adieu as we're about to end the show. It was rather close. Point differential 4. Giselle and Pete are going to have a point now tallied in the standings. And of course, Cindy and Miranda will be back again in a few weeks with a different duo they'll have. And Pete and Giselle alike will have a different duo as well. But anything you guys want to let each other know as we depart right now? So Miranda, go ahead.
Yeah, this was an amazing experience. Congrats to you guys. It was very close, but we'll get him next time, Cindy. I had a great time with you, and you did an amazing job. I loved all your perspectives, and that story was about the picture was so touching. I really appreciated that. So thank you. I'm excited for next time.
Thank you, Miranda.
No, thank you for being here, Cindy, Miranda. Very hard fought, and I knew you are going to do really well in your topics and your chosen topics, and you did. The topics overall, based on the categories, were fantastic and played to a lot of our strengths. And Mr. Babcock, thank you for being such a wonderful partner, and I look forward to our future matches against the other teams.
Mr. Colado?
And I, Giselle, you carried us, so thank you for doing that. And I really look at this as not so much as a competition, but just opportunity for all of us to get to know one another and become friends.
Yes,
to me that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Pete, I promise you that if I don't blink, so my posts on Fridays are rather long. I always post a preview post. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to damage anyone's eyesight because it's like reading a Bible. But at some point, I bring up the fact that this is a place where strangers leave as friends. And I love the fact that you guys allowed those words to ring oh so true, because I see it. I see the camaraderie. I'm seeing it on screen. So thank you for addressing that. That's such a very good point. Howard, with your final thoughts, please.
Sure. First of all, congratulations, Pete and Giselle. I'm sure me and Jacques will make our voices heard in some capacity.
You better. He's got the stun gun, remember?
Yeah. But, Cindy, Miranda, you guys brought so much heart, warmth. Thank you for your generosity of heart and spirit, Cindy. Every time you're on, you bright, you shine. And, that beautiful photograph was just that was just
really. You know what I love about how Cindy illustrated that, Howard?
Mm.
Her level of comfort, her level of ease, her ability to get in touch with herself in such a way where it was unapologetic, it was freeing, it was illustrated in such a very authentic way. And I think that's what storytellers need to know, is that they are those two words. If you're a construction worker, if you're a librarian, it doesn't matter what your chosen profession is, you're a storyteller. You have a story that matters. And Cindy so seamlessly was able to illustrate hers. And I appreciate you for that, my friend.
Thank you. Well, being a shy child, it took me a long time to find my voice, and my voice is better on the page. And I've been asked to do a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
This is the only one that I allow myself the courage to speak. And because it's so from the heart and it's so real. And it's not talking about career. It's just sharing thoughts and meaningful ideas and, all of that. So it's, and Miranda, we'll have more fun. Okay.
Absolutely.
Where does everybody live? I know.
I'm in Newport, Rhode Island.
You've got a trio of Brooklynites down there.
You all know each other down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Absolutely.
And where are you, Peter?
Newport, Rhode Island.
Well, that's right. You do Newport.
I love Newport.
Yeah,
we do too.
Beautiful over there. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Red Eyes. I appreciate that. I'm going to put Miranda, Howard, and Giselle backstage as we will bid Pete and Cindy adieu. You guys have a nice time tonight?
Had a great time.
It's always so amazing. I always think, oh gosh, but it's always, I don't know. There's some wonderful aura about it that makes everyone so pure and real and honest, and doesn't matter what your background is. Everyone has a story, and you get to, and And the one thing I have to say, I really have a hard time being political on this, because it's just hard for me, because if someone, I don't want to get into a political
the great
situation.
thing about and the great thing, and I respect the great thing about this network is, since I try to drive everything behind the scenes, is I'll never frame a question that'll be political based on your beliefs or your opinions. It'll more or less be about the humane side.
Yeah.
It'll be right. We'll isolate the human part of it and not make it red versus blue.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. I promise.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and
anyway,
again,
yeah.
Pete, and
Go
as
ahead.
well, Pete, I got to thank you. Intertwining Thoughts is our show. It will be back, guys and gals, very soon. Eventually, Mr. Canduli will join us again. Cindy and I have a talk show also. Pete, any final thoughts for our audience as well?
As I said before, I loved the evening. I don't even think in my mind of the competition part of it.
Sure.
I'm focusing on just interesting conversation,
sure,
listening to everybody else's views and their stories, and I'm learning so much through that process, and it's just like having a really great conversation and getting to know people, and that's kind of how I view it. I don't think about I got to win this thing. I got to, It's
I always say the competition is the backdrop, and it's definitely a creative way to kind of add a little bit of incentive. But you're right. It really, the living room conversation is what it's all about.
It's like everybody sitting around a table at dinner and the conversation that, I remember sitting around the table once with Robin Williams.
Oh,
one of the most interesting table conversations I've ever had.
Wow.
And it's just,
he was so thoughtful, right? He was a thoughtful person.
Very thoughtful, but he really never stopped talking. He was, he just, you just listened, and it was always just.
I figure though, as a person though, I would like if I were sitting across the room from Robin Williams and he talked all night, it would be like getting the price of admission. I feel like.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a performance for sure.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
for sure.
And guys, to the younger viewers, watch Robin Williams on the Tonight Show. See what he used to do on the Tonight Shows with Carson. Incredible stuff. Thank you guys both for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. Nice to meet you, Pete.
You too, Cindy. Hope to talk to you again.
You too. We will. We're all going to have a party.
Friends.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye, Avi. Love you.
Love you too.
Great job.
Thank you, Pete.
Great job.
Thank you, sir. Means a lot. Means a lot to me, Pete, and you too, Cindy. You guys both mean a lot to me. Thank you, and everyone should know that. You guys are just class personified. Thank you again. And again, guys and gals, for those who are keeping track of the standings, Mr. Pete Babcock, Giselle, want to know. And Cindy, of course, what a charming, beautiful soul she is, and I appreciate her so much. And I appreciate you guys. Let's bring in Giselle, Howard, and Miranda. How about Miranda and Giselle, guys and gals? If you didn't know why they're diverse, why they're versatile, or why I always say that they are, tonight was a clear-cut example of their humanity, of their mind, of what they have to offer this network. And you'll be seeing it every Wednesday. This is not a one-off. You'll be seeing them make friends with a lot of these luminaries who are part of this tournament, because they'll get to know them through the topics. And if I could serve them through the topics and give them this platform to show the world what I already know about them, it'll be considered a success. Got to let the old hair down. It's been a long night for yours truly, Avi Klein over here. So, guys, let's bring in Howard. Let's bring in Miranda and Giselle to end this show if we can right now. Howard, Miranda, and Giselle. Miranda, how you doing?
I'm doing great. This was so much fun. And Giselle, you did amazing with your topic, and so did Pete. I know I said that before, but I really learned a lot from both topics for sure, because those are topics that I'm not too privy about. So I feel like I learned a lot.
Well, you did, and you presented well. And Howard again taking his notes along with Peaceful Pete when he was here.
Thank
of course,
you, Howard.
show. But guys, here's how I'm going to end. I'm going to end with kind of like a little outro that's different. It's not really an outro, because right now we shift our attention to Saturday night, the T-Ken Celebrity Tournament. It's going to be an 11th hour matchup, guys and gals. That's what it is going to be. I have not sent the flyers out to the cast just yet. They will receive them tonight. They will know what match. They can promote that match as early as tonight or tomorrow morning. It is going to be two people. It'll be a Hall of Fame baseball manager, and it'll be a film and TV great, a film and TV and stage great. an award-winning actor. And have they ever been in this tournament? No, they have not. So Saturday night is where it's at, one-on-one, the 11th hour, trying to squeeze into that second round, just like my ex tried to squeeze that last bit of toothpaste. I tried to squeeze that last bit. She couldn't get it out there. But hey, get rid of your toothpaste and buy some new one. But guys, what else? What else? Here's how we're going to close out. See, Miranda shook things up last Wednesday night. I have a response video for her because she selected a foursome that will be up against each other in the T-Ken Celebrity Tournament Saturday night. I'm glad the blonde is coming back, by the way. But anyway, Saturday night, at some point in the month of June, it'll be yours truly, Avi Klein. It'll be Joe Risitano. It'll be Megan. And it'll be Hauser Odalak. The Enigma. All four. 3 out of 4 will move on because she won a tournament on this show called the Black Box prior to the Team Challenge. She won a mini tournament called the Blind Faith Tournament. And as a result, she was allowed to shake up any green room related matchup in round number 2. Any green room talent, including yours truly. So it'll be a foursome, myself, Joe Risitano, and of course, Hauser and Megan. Three very strong minds. They're going to definitely give me all they can. And we'll see who advances. Miranda, at some point, I think it might be as early as this Saturday, you might get a response from Phil because it's official. You and Phil go one-on-one in the T-Ken Celebrity Tournament. Your thoughts, Miranda, on that match?
Yeah, I didn't want to touch that. I really want to redeem myself with I already proved that in the Blind Faith tournament, but he keeps holding on to the past tournament, 2 years ago, saying that he won that one. And that was a long and grueling match. I think that was pretty close. Yes, he won, but this is a different time and space. Yeah. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of practice and I want to show him what I'm made of.
Absolutely. Yeah. You are an amazing participant, an amazing competitor, an amazing presenter, host, and of course, you do so very much with your knowledge every day, again, as a therapist, but also as a friend who's always there. Howard, you've got a matchup with JW. He's in the comment section. I know you've noticed him. I haven't really seen any mind games. I'm glad. Will it be a one-on-one matchup between the two of you without the shenanigans? One can only hope. Your thoughts really quickly on JW, real quick.
Yeah, I did see him in the comment section. I try to keep it civil. Obviously, he did not, but that probably says a lot about him. But that's all right. Tonight was about, Miranda, Giselle, Pete Babcock, Cindy Pickett, and most importantly, you, Mr. Klein. You did not get your roses tonight, or you should get your roses. Well, I mean, Jacques did, but I'm giving you your roses. Amazing topics. I just want to let you know that. And amazing.
Well, I'm here to serve you guys. And of course, Giselle, you're a third rounder. I'm sure you're enjoying all the action until round 3.
I absolutely am. It's exciting to see the 11th hour participants come in and have them feel that first time energy and then really understand what we're about and get hungry for that pride and the prize, that trip to Greece, that $15,000. And it's exciting to see everybody return from round 1 that made it to round 2. And what are they going to do this time? And what are their topics going to be? And how are they going to respond? And are they as good as we remember? Is there going to be an upset? There's so
many. Yeah, we had maybe what some would deem an upset. Mr. Stan Hansen moved on to round number 3. We're very happy about that, as did, of course, Woody Page, and much respect to Gene Banks as well. We'll be seeing him. But guys, again, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, this very channel. I don't mention this much. I'm not a shill guy, but subscribe, like, do all the stuff you already have been told by other content creators that you need to do. I'm not going to tell you all that stuff. You already know. But do all that stuff because it helps us get this out there. The numbers have been fantastic. We're really getting a lot of interest from a lot of different parties, especially too. But guys, Giselle brought up hunger. Howard, Miranda, and Giselle, they'll be on screen as this video plays. We'll feel. We'll do our best to feel and stay in the moment. Let the music feel you. Let the images feel you. Let them fuel you as well. Because very soon, as brought up earlier, there will be a 4-way matchup featuring yours truly, Avi Klein, Joe Risitano, Megan, and Hauser Odalak, as booked by Miranda.
Wow.
Okay.
Mhm.